Three, two, one. All right, welcome to Mediocre Rumble Brothers. I'm Jordan, your host, and the team Corey, Edwin, and Udon. Today we'll be discussing indie and AAA games, but before we do, let's go around with what we did for the week. Corey, how about yourself?
I played the game of the month and beat it. So that's I have plenty of time to kind of like really think back at like the experience I had outside of what we were discussing previously to this recording.
Just sitting in a room with an old pipe, contemplating.
yeah, just like God, I wish I had a fireplace. I played some indie games prior to this. I played something called Infernax, which is a really interesting like Metroidvania game. I thought it was going to be a little different, but it literally is like Castlevania with Nintendo graphics, but it has choices and stuff, and it's pretty fun. I liked it, and I was just kind of going through some like back and forth library stuff. Played another indie game, but I can't remember what console I was playing on. I think it might have been Switch because my library for indie games is mostly on Switch, anyways. So
because most indie games can actually run on Switch
decently. Yeah. Oh, I was playing this game called Anno. Oh, it was PlayStation 5. It's like Anno Mutation or something like that, and it's like a really cool 3D pixel art game. That's also like it's like that 2.5D thing, but it's really expansive and it has like kind of like Mega Man combat, but it has this like detective type stuff with these mini games where you like work at a bar with your sister and make some money so that you can buy gear, and like the combat's like the Matrix kind of stuff, like you fight in like a digital thing because she has some sort of sickness. I don't know, like I only played it for like an hour or something, but like, it was a really enjoyable hour. The music's good, the vibe is really like strong with that game, so I'll probably pick it back up and play it a little bit. And I finished Elden Ring's DLC, so there's that too. But that's pretty much it. I mean, that was a lot of gaming, but you know, I'm kind of glad I had a chance to kind of sit down and play a bunch this week. I needed it. Udon?
Yeah, I did quite a bit this week, at least in terms of getting shit done. I have a headache from sleep deprivation from part of it last night / this morning. Um, I'm almost done with the reboot camp in Advance Wars, about 80% of the way through the second campaign. Still having a lot of fun with that. I also beat Shadow of the Erd Tree. There wasn't even really meaning to. I was just like, I'm trying a new build with the like. It's not really a cheese build, but like the solid build for this is like uh great shield mixed with spear with bleed damage is what you can do, because like as long as you do that and have like another shield with holy on it, you can just like face tank all of Radahn's attacks. And I was like, oh, my strategy for Monster Hunter. Got it. I don't dodge. I only tank. I will stand and deliver. Because I remember when I was playing Monster Hunter World for like the second time, because the first time I struggled bust through Nergigante, and then the second time I bought it because I played through on the PlayStation, then I got an Xbox. My friends had an Xbox, so I played through on Xbox. And then second time I played through Nergigante, I'm like, I'm really suck ass at dodging, so just stack every defense item in the game. And when Nergigante does his big fuck all kill you instantly move, I just sit there and tank it. Basically the same concept for Radahn, just sit there and tank, and it becomes more about your stamina meter than anything.
I am the wall.
Pretty much. It's like I don't dodge, even though I will admit because Radahn has this move that, because in the second phase Miquella's on his back, and if they grab you, it's an instant kill because you fall in love with the femboy on his back.
Like one does.
Yeah, exactly. Where's my Astolfo figure? It's over here somewhere. But I had struggled. I had fought the sunflower boss, this skadoosh tree avatar. That's what I like calling it. Apparently, skidoo is like shadow in Latin, but I'm just like, it just sounds like skadoosh to me, so I'm just gonna call it the skadoosh tree. Because when you beat the sunflower, you get like a rune or something that basically gives you a freebie out of that. But if you get grabbed twice, then you're dead. And I had already gotten grabbed twice, and I recorded the last minute of footage, and I had to fat roll the fucking the grab because you can't block that. If I hadn't blocked that, would have been all over. It was a clutch ass win, but it's done.
No, just running away at like half a mile an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, we don't roll here. I just stacked shit and fat rolled, but I dodged the fat roll that mattered. Um,
Yeah. That's
so
such a
that
weird
was
play style because I'm not used to it. Like, because I always play range, mage or something, or fast. Like, I had no health and it was all about dodging. So, like, making a build where it was just a wall of health and just going, yeah, I don't care if you're gonna punch me, I can take it. Like, it's
yeah.
just it makes me nervous every time. But you're like, oh, maybe you don't do that much damage. Maybe it's only a lot of damage to me because I only have 10 health.
I mean, I had the same build. I was a mage, but then I had to change everything for this DLC because it's bullshit. But
Like, fine, I'm going back to
before,
Renala.
yeah, before I'm not gonna keep going into that because it's not a secret. Well, next week's probably gonna be bitching about Shadow of the Erd Tree the entire time. So moving on from that, I played the game of the month all in one sitting last night from like middle of the afternoon all the way to like 3 in the morning just to see it through. Then woke up 4 hours later. Uh, and then today I tried, me being the gotcha player. HoYoverse came out with its like new iteration of their like high quality gotcha games because we had Genshin Impact, we had Honkai Star Rail, and now they come out with this thing called Zenless Zone Zero. Um,
Is it free?
yeah, it's like the other two. It's just another lineup in their
Okay.
gotcha games.
Because I've only
This
seen the
one,
$10 package and I didn't know.
no, you
So,
don't have to pay for it. It's probably just like a starter pack. It's like everything else. It's free. It's a gotcha game. They get you with microtransactions. But like
mm,
everything else, I mean, I just wanted to try because I've tried Genshin Impact. I mean, I don't hate either Genshin Impact or Honkai, but they never really grabbed me outside of a few small things. But I was sitting here playing Zenless Zone Zero for probably like 2 or 3 hours today, and I was like, I'm kind of getting into this because it's not turn based. It's real time attacking like Genshin is, and there's character swapping. But it's so like the character swapping is like how you parry attacks essentially, and it's so much smoother than Genshin's gameplay. Also, there's like a change in setting which I like a lot because Genshin's obviously fantasy, and then you have Honkai which is sci-fi, and this one is like if I had to describe it, modern retro, essentially, like it's closer to modern day than Honkai is. There's a bunch of like your character runs like a VHS rental store, but there's also other crazy shit with like guns and stuff. So I like that setting more. There's no open world, thank Christ. I don't think the open world adds a whole lot to either Honkai or Genshin. I don't really like it. It's a lot like Warframe, which is a lot better to my sensibilities, where you have like a hub town with all your facilities, and then you have to go to like your computer to like initiate a mission or something, and then inside the mission it's like either combat or just like going through like really straightforward little dungeons. So there's no wandering around in an open world, which I enjoy. There's no like Breath of the Wild stamina meter or anything. uh
what are you playing it on?
Character does, huh?
What are you playing it on?
I just download on the PS5 because I guess people were bitching that it takes a lot to run it on mobile, which so does Genshin Impact, so does Honkai. I mean, people use Genshin to
Yeah,
like
I mean, come on.
test out the fidelity.
Yeah.
I played on PS5. I can put it on my computer. I just don't like sitting at my computer desk. I like sitting on my couch. I have accounts for both my PC versions of Genshin and Honkai, as long as PS5. I was actually trying to figure out how to link them before here, but it's really complicated. Uh, Character design is like top notch, at least for me personally. I like the characters way more than in both Honkai and Genshin, outside of Mona and Genshin. Especially because I'll put it in the chat here in a minute, but this pink haired chick you've probably seen circling around if you follow any kind of like anime fan art stuff. um she's in the game, but you get her for free. I generally thought she was like a character you had to roll for, and you get her for free, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy because she
Oh,
was
the
my favorite
pigtails.
one. Yeah, the pink pigtailed girl.
Yeah,
um
I saw like some trailers like a while back when they first announced it, and I thought the character designs were really fun. And it kind of reminds me of Scarlet Nexus in a way. Like it has that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I can describe it as, I mean, obviously I've only played it for a day and I haven't even unlocked like the daily quests, which is my biggest gripe about Honkai and Genshin, is the daily quests take too long to do. But if they're not too long, I might play it for a little while, see how I feel about it. I definitely am enjoying it way more than the other two. Like Honkai put me to sleep, and Genshin I get annoyed with. So uh yeah, I think Zenless Zone Zero is pretty decent. I've heard discourse about it. I have no idea what the criticisms are. I mean, it's just another Hoyoverse game. Like the level up system's the same, like the equipment system's the same. The combat's different, the setting's different, the characters are different. They also have this neat thing where like a lot of the cutscenes are done in like comic book fashion, so it's like a slideshow, but all the artwork is like gorgeous. It looks really awesome and it's just really enjoyable. And maybe people don't like that, but I'm used to like visual novel kind of storytelling, so I don't mind it. In fact, I prefer it. Just not a whole lot of uh pointless walking around to get from like cutscene to cutscene. It's just like you're just sitting there waiting, going from one thing to one thing without actually having to waste your time walking there, which is nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's here. I like it so far. I don't know if I have another room for a gotcha game in my life, and I'm definitely not spending money on it because I hate the conversion rate for their currency. But it's still fun. It's free. I might play it for a while. But
I'll give it a try.
yeah, go ahead. I mean, it's free. Go for it. Uh, I think that's it. But that's a lot for me to accomplish in a weekend. So I don't have a lot of time for gaming during the week. So that's a lot of shit. So Edwin, what did you do?
For like the most part, I was like reading a bunch of manga. So like for the first half of the week, I didn't play a single goddamn thing.
What are you reading?
I'm reading. Well, I finished the second season of Dangers in My Heart. Or Dangers of the in My Heart, yeah. So I was like, I got really caught up in it. So I started reading the manga because I was not satisfied enough with the second season, regardless of how much I liked it. So I just like started reading the manga to see if I can get more out of it. But like right before that, this was like during the week that we did the Resident Evil podcast. So I was like, I on that week I didn't get to say it, but I did beat Elden Ring DLC during that time. It took like almost 3 damn days to beat Radon with the help of my friend Alex. We both pretty much like perfected that like by ourselves, but we needed like a second tank to actually like help out with it because we were just spamming. I stayed more true to my original build, which was like a battle mage. So all I had to do was kind of stay a little bit out of the way and just be tanky enough with the Black Knight shield from the DLC, and then just start spamming like ice moves while my friend did bleed damage, and then we needed a third to do one or the other. And then after that, we finally beat him 2 times because we had to help each other beat him on our own same file. So besides beating the DLC, I did play the base Elden Ring game again because there was like a lot of stuff that I wanted to use from the DLC and the base game. So I went to New Game Plus and I redesigned my character into one of my OCs, and then I had a bunch of fun playing with it. Still intend on playing it more with like different builds, but not right now because like I'm a little burned out. But besides that, the only other game that I pretty much played was I had to go back to beat what is it? Kingdom Come Deliverance. So I didn't do crap in that because I forgot what I was doing, and then I realized I was like, oh, I was trying to build this stupid village that's gonna cost me a crap ton of money. So I had to like look up like the best way to make money, and it was apparently from alchemy. And then so I pretty much spent an entire night's worth of just getting herbs and then just making potions and then selling them. So I made like 100 grand doing that. So all that's just going to go to the village that I have yet to build because the partner you get is being kind of a douche with his payment. And then, I mean, I just started it, but I wanted to. Me and Corey were talking about Pokemon like Saturday or no Friday,
Friday.
and then yeah, and then I was thinking about like during that conversation, I was like, I want to play Pokemon Y again, and it's like now I just started and I picked Chespin and named it Nutella, and that's pretty much what I've done so far.
I like Pokemon X and Y. I think that was the first one I beat a Nuzlocke on, but again, I just feel like it was the easiest one because of Mega Evolution.
I mean, there's like very specific ones. If you play like true to the Nuzlocke form where you can only like get like the first Pokemon you get in a route, then it's kind of tricky considering you have to get the chance to get the Pokemon from that route that can Mega Evolve, and then you have to go and find the Mega Evolution Stone. As
Well,
long as
like bare bone Nuzlocke rules. I mean, obviously, since they're self-imposed, you can choose to ignore it at your will or add more. But technically speaking, when you go into the Lumino City the first time and the professor gives you like one of the 3 Kanto starters, like that counts as an encounter in that city, so you automatically get one with a Mega Stone as long as it survives. And same thing
Yeah.
with the Lucario. So you're handed 2 Mega Evolutions that you can use without having to rely on RNG.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's as long as you don't lose them. But I don't remember too much about like the battles in this game, so I was like, I kind of don't know if like it would be easy or not to like keep them alive. Jordan, what have you done this week?
Well, I had some good times and some really bad times. Let's start first with Wild Arms. So I was getting myself,
time.
yeah,
I saw you playing that.
fucking god damn it. So it's like, okay, I was going right, where I wanted to start going the right direction. Like I was talking about, everything's so easy to find, easy directions, no problem. And then we start going further down, and this is when we start finding that the game just is trying to find ways to fuck you, like just for the hell of it. Because let's just say, okay, hey, you're going to be going down this area where there was apparently this this bad guy who's like threatening to kill an entire village, so they relocate their party to this hidden area in this forest. And so you go down there, and then you end up going to this like castle place, and then you're just going around, checking around places, fighting little monsters here and there. And then you just so happen to just come across a room with a pretty little dog. And I just like to touch things like, hey, let's see what they have to say. Apparently you don't need to touch everything, because I touched this dog and it fucking turned into a giant monster. And I'm like, oh, sweet. That's fucking great. So it's like, it's like some hidden boss you don't have to fight. But, I just got really nosy and it just came and bit me in the ass. Literally. So after I went through that struggle and got it, destroyed it, I was like, okay, there's my struggle. That wasn't too bad. And then that's when I find out, when I go to this next place where they're fighting these ancient golems that have been resurrected and now being taken over by this evil team or whatever. And it ends up becoming a roll of the dice of how well you get to manage your time, of you going to win or lose. More likely you lose a lot, because this dickish golem likes to put you to sleep, your entire party, and sometimes you don't fall asleep, sometimes you do. And a lot of times you do, and it doesn't matter if there was a way, which is the only way, is to have your spellcaster girl, Cecilia, to awaken everybody. But it doesn't fucking matter, because if he makes everybody asleep, the spellcaster that's supposed to wake everybody is asleep, it doesn't fucking matter. So he just beats you to hell until you're literally dead, and then you have to redo this whole entire step bullshit process of walking through the security system. And I don't know, maybe I did it like 10, 15 times. And finally I beat him. And I was like, sweet. That's great. I've already been very pissed off enough. Let's go ahead and move on. And that was, I guess this is my mistake, because of course I was just so excited that I beat him. I was like, let's just continue on. There shouldn't be any more bosses. I come across another boss, and it's the one called the Mother, who is this destroyer of worlds, basically. And I'm like, okay, I'm kicking her ass. We're doing well. And then my legit copy freezes on me. And I about ripped my hair out, and I just could not want to continue further. So I said, okay, I'm going to just go to my happy place. And then I play my Mega Man X2 game. And then I find out that maybe I was just, I don't know, maybe I wasn't even playing the game back then. Maybe this is all just a dream, because the game was pissing me off. I was getting so mad. The only thing that was making it fun was that Corey was acting like the Otacon to my snake, And I'd be like, okay, what the fuck is the weakness to this bubble crab shit? And then he'd just reach out and he'd start getting the information. Like, okay, this is how we're going to start off, and we're going to fight him in this order. But the hour differences as we go along is way later in the day for him and early for me. So as I'm getting started, he's getting sleepy. So it's kind of funny because I'd be like, Otacon, let's do this. Otacon, what's the secrets to bubble crab? And then Otacon, and you just Otacon, like fuck. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and just go with it. Oh, I'm back up. Let's do this. And then I already beat the boss. Then we just move on to the next one. So that's kind of how this was end up going. But it just got more and more painful as I went along to where we just I just started getting cheat codes basically because I didn't want to look around for shit. So I was like, you can get this extra armor to Mega Man and make him stronger, but I just kept going through and thinking that this was going to work out in my favor, and it really didn't. They pretty much put the stop to you, and it was like, if you ain't going to look for that extra armor shit to make you stronger and your life longer, you're just going to get fucked. So I figured that out when I got to the starter pack of the harder bosses. The last group before you fight Sigma. And this dude is like, I'm going to throw this chain ball around this area, and you're going to have these 3 pretty little squares that are going to protect you from my ball. And with the amount of health that I had, he hits you like twice and I'm fucking dead. And I was like, okay, that's it. And then Corey's like, this is getting painful for me. I'm just going to give you the codes. You put it in. Let's fucking beat this shit. So we're going to beat this today. And then that's when it was like, okay, the bosses are not too much of a problem. Now the level design is going to be a problem. So this is when I'm starting to get to the part where you're having to learn to master the correct way of how you jump, slide, fall down, and immediately use another move to shoot you to the other side, because as soon as you touch one fucking spike, you die, and you gotta start all over again. And I did that maybe fucking 50 times, and I was yelling. My wife came upstairs and was just like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, this game is fucking pissing me off. She's like, well, then turn it off. I'm like, no, I like this game. Well, you obviously don't. You're yelling. I'm like, it's a good yell. I love it. I was going insane at this point. I was just like, I wanted to just psych myself out to say, this is good pain. You're going to love this. You're going to beat it, but you're going to scream, because that's the only way I make myself feel better. So went through that, and eventually I beat the game. And then I don't know if I want to do another Mega Man after this. That was my favorite, apparently, that I've been saying all this time, my entire time in existence. Is Mega Man X2 is so fucking good. I love it. And I was just losing it. I beat it, but I was losing it. So I was getting pissed.
4-hour time difference. Otacon gets sleepy.
He does.
Well, I think that it goes back to a revelation I had after I finally beat the Skadoosh Tree Avatar in Elden Ring. Is I'm just like, God, I hate this game. I hate everything about it, but I have such a high from finally overcoming that challenge. Like, I can see why people play these games now. You're just chasing the next high like a drug addict.
Yeah.
You hate yourself for it, but God, it feels so good.
I don't care how many souls I'm about to get. It's the dopamine I'm searching for.
Yeah. Well, all right. So that was basically what I did. So let's go ahead and jump into our polls. What do you play more, indie games or AAA games? Winner was indie games. What do y'all think about that?
I think it makes sense. Because there's a high volume of indie games now, and they're better developed and more interesting than AAA games nowadays. So you'll probably find something you like.
Indie games, unlike obviously indie movies, are way more accessible.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to look at it right now because I wanted to see the discrepancy in the poll, by how much it was. Oh, not by much. Okay, so we still have love for AAA games. I mean, I think the last AAA game I enjoyed was Cyberpunk. Granted, that wasn't that long ago, obviously, but before that, I don't know what AAA game I've really enjoyed, to be honest, because I've played some, but
yeah. I mean, FromSoft games. We just played Elden Ring.
I said enjoyed. Enjoyed was the key word in that sentence.
Let's see. Yeah, because like my library, if we're talking like modern, because like you didn't really have indie games on console as much at the time. Like you started seeing it with like Xbox 360 when they were throwing like Braid out there and like Geometry Wars and stuff like that. But like now that there's like indie publishers where you have a game on the shelf at GameStop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like my Switch library is like probably 70% indie games. Because like it's the mainline Nintendo games, and then I don't know why collecting games on Switch is just so fun, but I like doing it. Maybe because I can bring my Switch with me, so if I have to travel for like work or something like that, like I can bring a couple games in my case and play it on the plane or at the hotel. Like I can't do that with the PlayStation, and I refuse to buy that stupid whatever the hell it is, the tablet thing that's Wi-Fi. That's way too expensive. Yeah, that's so dumb to me.
Well, I mean, most indie games, since they're lower fidelity, not that it necessarily decreases the value, but they can they can just run decent on Switch. And again, Switch, I think, just has a better track record as far as physical releases go, anyways. So
yeah.
Is
Um,
is Shovel Knight an indie game? Just trying to throw
yes,
it. Okay,
yeah.
I haven't played it. I'm
Um,
gonna give that a shot here soon.
well, I mean,
choice.
I think you'll like it a lot. I love Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight's fantastic, but on the because indie games are so popular nowadays, like Cuphead, that's an indie game, but it receives so much like publicity and
Coverage,
like
yeah.
attention. Yeah, you would think otherwise, but yeah, that game's technically an indie game.
Well, yeah, same with Castle Crashers. I mean, that's like a huge title that people have
Great
played,
game. Great
and
game.
people love it. And that guy started making games on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have anything against AAA games, but like I feel like what's happening with the AAA world is like they're becoming too big. If that makes any sense. Like I don't need to buy 17 open world games that have 9,000 hours of content. It's like I'm already playing Elden Ring, and I'm gonna wait for. Um, I honestly can't think of another game right now that I want to buy until like I mean Prime 4, I guess, because they announced that. But I don't. Luigi's Mansion 2 or something, the remake of the DS one. But there's no like huge title staring me in the face. Like Call of Duty, I usually skip a year since they do them every year, and it's like Call of Duty is a guilty pleasure of mine, but I do sit out every other year from a release because I just don't feel like I need to buy it every fucking year. But it sounds like they're going to move to a free to play model, which I've been saying they should, because it's just literally like the campaign's cool. Sell it for $20. It's only going to take 4 hours to beat, anyways, unless you're playing on veteran mode, where the computer just shoots you all the time, no matter how little you peek.
Well, I think
But
that's the problem, right? Like fucking what you're describing is appealing to the AAA developers' like sense of greed,
yeah,
essentially. Because
yeah,
remember when they just like put effort into a game, like you had to try, and then they like made a game and it was like good, and now we're talking about make it free to play and sell some shitty campaign for $20. Like I'd rather pay $60 for a fucking campaign
finished
multiplayer
game.
and like a whole new gameplay experience. Like I just want a game.
Or
Like
Well,
games
yeah,
or they just try to use other people's weaknesses, like for instance that Call of Duty 3. If you wanted to play that zombie game, you literally had to buy the entire fucking game in order to play it. They would not say you can buy the zombie thing separately. No, it's either the entire game and you get to play with the campaign if you decide to, but you can't just download or do something separately. You have to buy the whole fucking game to do that, and that's kind of dickish in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because like that game mode is so popular that there are indie games of just that game mode. Like people that are copying the zombie like mini game, I suppose.
I don't know which
Um,
games those are.
well, I mean, I've seen them. I can't recall what their name. They're probably like some stupid like zombies shooter name here, but I have seen them. I played a demo on PS5 of one like a while ago. You have Killing Floor, stuff like that. I don't know if Killing Floor is indie, but it might be like a AA game or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like then there's double A games, or I guess for lack of a better term, that they're like in the middle somewhere. Because
Yeah,
like
and
I'm looking forward to Space Marine 2, but that's being published by fuck, who was it? THQ, I think. Or am I wrong? Fuck, where's my iPad? Point being is that it's being made by the team who did the World War Z games, which, despite this, actual movie sucking balls, because I love the book, but the movie sucks ass. The game itself was pretty decent, even though it was just kind of a glorified Left 4 Dead clone.
Saber? Oh, Focus?
I'm trying.
Focus Entertainment's the one I think that's publishing.
Yeah, and they're not huge, but they're around.
Yeah, I've played a lot of games from Focus as well. Let me see here. Because I like Plague. Did they do Plague Tale? I feel like they did Plague Tale.
Yeah, they did. They've done other things. My point being is that they're not EA, they're not Bethesda, they're not Blizzard or anything like that. They're there. They're still a bigger company, but with a smaller team, and they're the publishing people. So I don't know where
Okay.
you wouldn't really consider that an indie game, but nor would I consider it a AAA game either.
Yeah, they've gotten Other Side. That's an indie game that I've played. Vampire, Plague Tale, Hired Gun. So they've picked up some small studio games, and then they've done a lot of what seems like some pretty big properties.
I guess considering it's Space Marine and that's a licensed franchise, I wouldn't consider it indie, I suppose, based on those grounds by itself. And just because you get a bigger studio to publish you doesn't necessarily mean you're not an indie game, since you're still making the thing, because self-publishing is difficult.
They seem to have a market of Warhammer products on their website here.
I mean, if they worked out good the first time, Games Workshop is if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, they also have farming simulators, so if the other stuff doesn't work out,
so popular for some reason. I don't understand why.
I don't know.
You don't like corn?
Well, you guys got baffled by the fucking sports games. I don't fucking understand the farming simulator, because I see that on the top charts of the Xbox, because there's there's some of them on the Game Pass, and it's most popular in Game Pass, and fucking top 10, top 15 farming simulators in there somewhere, and I'm just who is playing this? I've never heard a single
train sim,
ever
boat sim,
my dad.
Sim. Yeah, probably my uncle.
I just don't get it. I'm just baffled.
Dang, I've probably came across most of their games on this list that they have. That's wild. I didn't even think about it.
Well, it's the Power Wash simulators. It's the same concept as all the entertainment or the calming lawn work that you can do, but none of the effort actually goes into it of doing it in real life, or any of the money of renting all those giant fucking machines to farm up your plot.
If I want to pretend to be farm, I'm gonna go fucking play Stardew Valley or fucking Story of Seasons or something. It goes a little bit too realistic.
Yeah,
those are simplified. Freaking farming simulator, and trucking simulator, those are almost down to every detail. Granted, there's some stuff about it that makes them super funny. You can just cause traffic and truck simulator and not give a shit. I was
traffic simulator.
What?
I mean,
wait, what do you say? What simulator?
I said traffic simulator.
Traffic simulator. And I'm sure if you find it on Steam, you'll find that somewhere. And I think that's another thing. When we talk about indie games, we're also not referring to the myriads of piles of fucking junk on Steam, actual games with effort put into them.
Every game on the Switch store that has the word hentai in it. There's so many of them. I don't understand.
Count me in.
Well, no, it's so bad. Well, no, it's so bad. You want porn, go to Steam, but it's just I don't understand. They're allowed to put the word hentai, and then it's just a brick breaker fucking ping pong game.
I just don't
shitty art behind it.
I just don't get there's so many of them though, and it's I don't even know if they're coming from the same studio or just this one guy out there is I love making these. Yeah.
There's so many different alarm clock and calculator apps for the Switch that you have to pay money for.
Yeah, there is I guess the term is shovelware for lack of other terms.
There you go. It's not indie game, it's a shovelware.
Yeah, you could just call it dog shit because there's some really bad games on that list. And power to people that get stuff published on the store, but it doesn't necessarily mean the game is good too. Because it's not every idea you have is a good idea. Why did you make this?
But at least those are so bad you can laugh at them.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I've just become so disillusioned with AAA franchises because I feel 90% of the releases, again, I might not be in love with Elden Ring, but I'll give them, give Miyazaki and FromSoft this. They haven't compromised. It's a fucking game. Like, you got what you paid for. Same thing with the
Oh yeah,
DLC. But
like
like, they have integrity, and then like most other AAA games come out, I'm just like, it's disappointing. Moving on. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like God, who was it? It was like somebody from the publisher, it's 2K, which I think they do, or yeah, it's 2K Games that does Rockstar and whatever. Either way, they were saying something like they were talking about games are too cheap, and that we should analyze the games based off of the hours of content that they provide. And it's just like, no, you
I
shut
mean,
up.
no, here.
that doesn't make
Uh,
any sense. Well, as like a point that I didn't like get a chance to make before when he brought up this topic. But like that concept doesn't make a whole lot of sense when it's something like GTA or like Skyrim that like it never fucking ends. It doesn't have an endpoint or anything. So how do you even calculate that? Like,
I
oh,
feel like that's
it's
what
like
it
a
is.
120-hour game, or because it's like, oh, it never ends. So like, we're gonna charge you $250. So it's like
Yeah,
that
no,
doesn't make any sense. That's not
I would fuck
advisable.
with them. It's like, all right, you can price it on that. We're gonna, but in exchange, in order to gauge your pricing, we get to choose a bunch of speed runners that get to complete your game as fast as possible. Get the price as low as physically
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. I don't want somebody from like a games journalist website playing it to dictate the length of the game. I want somebody who does this shit on like Games Done Fast or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oops, oopsie poopsies. He beat it in 20 minutes. That's a 20 cents for your like 800-hour RPG.
Yeah, I'd have to take out like a freaking auto loan to pay off Skyrim with the amount of fucking times they've released it, and they're like, "Oh, you could just play this forever, so that'll be $1 every hour you have fun." And it's like, oh man.
And,
Yeah,
Like,
so it's like also the extension, or like you're just gonna even like mincemeat like all the DLC just so they can like milk it for as much as possible.
I
So
feel like
it's just a dumb scheme.
there has to be a breaking point because there's no way in hell that they can keep it pushing. And even if you do like analyze like classic retro games when they were released and go off of inflation, finding out that they're actually like more expensive than games are today, but like there's got to be a point where they can't they can't make this many games a year and expect it. Like, yes, there's more customers, but like they're spending 200 million dollars to develop a product, and they're going to release it next to three other products that also have like hundreds of $1 millions poured into it, and I only get to choose one of those things. And sometimes I don't choose any of them because I got a free one this month from PlayStation Plus or Game Pass or Steam sale. So it's like,
or an indie game comes out for $20 that
yeah, some
offers a way
fun
better
game
experience.
that's like, yeah, they're like, oh, here's my indie game that's inspired by 3 games that you loved as a kid. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll buy that. It's like, I like the game Eastward.
Hentai.
That game's really cool. Yeah. Make it hentai date blockbreaker.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one. But it's just crazy to me because like obviously like the indies get to take a lot more chances because they don't really have as much writing on it. Most of the time, if you're talking about like independent creators that are doing this like in their basement or something like that, and spending time on it, developing it, and releasing it, and then you get like Choo Choo Charles, and that game is like a viral hit of like a scary ass train. I'm
There's also
sure.
a meme though, like the creator clearly had fun making it. It's not meant to be
Yeah.
serious. It's like what this is. I wanted to make scary, Thomas the Tank Engine essentially.
Well, even like Among Us, which a lot of people like know in the mainstream like lineup now, and that company has created their own indie publishing studio now because of their success. But they released that game in 2018. It only got popular because everyone was stuck in their house for COVID.
Yeah,
And
some streamers, some YouTubers just found
yeah,
it on Steam and was like, "Hey, we could do this."
yeah, then it became this like cultural phenomenon, and it was just like I can imagine they woke up and checked their bank accounts, like, holy shit, what happened? And they were like,
Yeah.
hey, everyone's buying that game you guys made 2 years ago, and it's like, oh my god. And that's not even an original idea. Like, if you really want to look back at it,
Oh,
it's
no.
literally the episode from Futurama where they do team building, and that's not even the original because it's the thing. It's just the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny too because those same people, I think, like, I can't remember if it was before or after Among Us got popular, but they made those fucking Henry Stickmin Flash games, and then they got some money and decided to remaster the whole fucking thing and put it on Steam. There's these fun little Flash games where it's just basically just a little comedy game, and it was like, I don't know, $20. That was it. They don't ask for much. They price you what it's worth. Uh, I,
Oh, okay.
Okay, you might just look it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
seen
like
this
it's
character
pretty much like a
before.
story game,
But
a story choice game.
it started as a Flash game, I believe, and the what point am I trying to make here? Oh, you're saying how Among Us was like a cultural phenomenon. Because I mean, it's Among Us. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's fucking Poppy Playtime. It's fucking all this other, Bendy and the Ink Machine. All this. Granted,
Yeah,
all three of those are fucking mascot horror, and that has its own
yeah.
problems. But the
Now they're
point
sitting
being,
at Hot Topic at the counter.
yeah,
They're just in like their own candy and shit. It's like,
the point being is that those they're all indie games, and they all made like a way bigger cultural impact than like most AAA games. And
Well,
again,
yeah,
exceptions to every rule, because obviously when Elden Ring came out, that was dominating, the internet for, the month it was out.
yeah, and I mean, literally, the Elden Ring's DLC was like anticipated to be so popular that there were studios that purposely were like, I'm not releasing anything within at least a week of that
I mean, it's
because I want
smart,
everyone to
right?
get it out of their system. Yeah, no, it is. It's like,
Let's not
yeah,
do
avoid that.
let's not do Battleborn and release it like 2 weeks before Overwatch, and then
Oh God,
oh
what
my
a
god.
what a
yeah.
shit show! I played the beta and I was like, I don't like this very
I
much.
well, hey, I bought Battleborn and I actually kind of liked it. I was like, this is interesting. This is before Gearbox completely turned shit. But I
Yeah,
was like, this is interesting. But then Overwatch came out and it was all over. There
the
was no
the
hope.
the character designs were really cool. I did like that part. I mean, I also played like Paladins, but like Paladins is just free to play, unbalanced nonsense.
Fucking what is it? High res. They just exist in everyone else's shadow, but they carved out their little niche there.
They were like,
So
we have Smite and the other stuff that we made.
yeah,
You want to
the
play
other
Realm Royale? No.
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Let's go back to Smite.
Yeah, we got
Um,
Avatar and Smite. I'm like, oh,
I
okay. You
wanted
guys
to
are doing
say about
something right.
Edwin said earlier about like it's scummy when AAA games come out and like they come out with either pre-order bonuses or like DLC packs like kind of really fast after the game comes out, to the point you're like, they had that shit ready to go specifically just to sell as extra content, whereas like Elden Ring came out and we waited 3 years for the DLC, right? It's like 3 years,
Yeah,
something like.
Mhm.
But it's because it's like, I mean, obviously there's no concrete evidence of this, but I think it's because Elden Ring came out. They waited to see if it was successful. Not that they really had a whole lot to worry about. The thing was anticipated to high heaven,
yeah,
but
because they,
they
they did
saw,
Armored Core between.
yeah, because they're like, all right, it sold well. It's like, do we want to do DLC for this? And they're all like, yes, let's do DLC. So they sat down and took 3 years to develop a really big DLC, because it felt like they waited for the success first, and then they gave us more content because it was successful, not because they're like, oh, this game's gonna sell billions. Like, cut up the main content we already have and sell it as like a $20 DLC a month after the game comes out or some shit. You know?
Yeah, and it's crazy too because like that's something that they can do, right? Because they got money. They're bigger studios. They can afford like
Uh,
doing a DLC package, whereas
but
like
it's
indie
not
stuff doesn't
just
have.
it's not just the money, because FromSoft is like that company that actually has like their fan base's respect, because
Oh
like they
yeah,
because
Oh
yeah
yeah.
because they can spend as long as they want. Like, I trust them more with 7 years to make something good better than I can trust Square Enix making 7 years and I get Kingdom Hearts 3.
I mean, I'm not even in their fan base, and I respect the hell out of them.
Warner
It's
Brothers just did the 7 years of freaking Suicide Squad, and look how that went.
um
Banging.
yeah. Well, and that actually reminds me. It's like, you think about DLC, but then like I just thought about Shovel Knight, because Shovel Knight was so damn successful. They kept adding content to it for free. Like, there's no DLC for Shovel Knight, but Shovel Knight had so many. Okay, so if I remember correctly, when Shovel Knight came out, and I think they were all Kickstarter goals, so all these things got funded, but Shovel Knight came out and it was just Shovel Knight. But then, like, I think it was like a year, like a couple months to a year afterwards, there was like a Plague Knight expansion, but you didn't have to pay for it. It was just an update. They just updated the game. You play through the entire game as a new character, and they did that like three more fucking times. They added different modes. They added all this crazy shit to Shovel Knight until I think they put it all. I mean, maybe I'm talking my ass, but I don't remember having to pay for any of that. Because they have like the Shovel Knight Ultimate Edition, which like comes with a bunch of different Shovel Knight stuff. But
Yeah.
they just added so much to that game, and you didn't have to pay anything. There was so much added, and you didn't have to pay a damn thing. Granted, technically, it was funded through Kickstarter, but we've also seen how badly that can go when it's like, oh yeah, it got funded through Kickstarter, and then you'll fucking never see whatever the hell it was you just funded. The game might come out. That's
Yeah,
about as much you can hope for.
Yeah, there was a sale like maybe a week ago where it's like oh Shovel Knight's like anniversary or like maybe 10-year anniversary or something like that. But there's two versions of the base game. So it's like the base game and then there's like the base game plus like an integrated season pass. So the season pass one is the one that gets you like everything for free because like Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, King Knight, and I think those were the only four that came with it. And then I didn't know that they made more beyond that because there was like a bunch of other like versions of of Shovel Knight. There's like one
Yeah,
where
they made a bunch
it's
of
kind of like a
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they seem pretty interesting, but it's like I haven't even beaten like all those other like Knight games. I think the only ones I've actually finished were the regular Shovel Knight and Spectre Knight. But the other
I
two,
finished
I've
Plague
not.
Knight because I'm a slut for Plague Doctors, but as is should be obvious, but yeah, I just had something else in my head, kind of to tangentially relate. Oh, Shovel Knight was so culturally relevant that he's a fucking assist trophy in Smash Brothers. Like it's just a fucking little indie guy.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I would have liked to see an indie character. I guess technically, I mean, it was only bought after the fact, but Minecraft Steve is in Smash Brothers because technically speaking, Minecraft was an indie game before it got bought out by Microsoft. So
Yeah.
They also wanted Shantae and Shovel Knight to be like actual characters.
oh, I wanted Shantae so bad. I wanted Shantae so fucking bad. Yeah, I would have loved to have Shovel Knight too as characters, but I think I got so much more than I anticipated when I got Joker, Banjo, and then Pyra and Mithra. So I was happy. They can satiate my bloodlust.
I mean, like the reason why like indie games are like so popular is because there's like so many of them like more original idea from like the fan base of like the bigger corporations, but also like the fact that like now AAA games take like 3 to 10 years to make, and it's like the new God of War takes so long to make that it's like oh the new God of War installation is like gonna be like a console generations apart.
Yeah,
So
at least it's
like
worth
everything
it,
between. Well, I mean, it's like hopefully it stays that way because otherwise, like, hey, you spent like 7 years and also a crap ton of money, and your game still did shit. No, like you can't afford a single failure from that.
I mean, from 2018 to Ragnarok, they've hit it out of the park twice now. So I'm just hoping they continue to do so. Yeah, actually, no. Now that you brought it up, that was the last one past Cyberpunk that I enjoyed. That was a AAA game. Was Ragnarok in 2018 because I played them back to back. Those are really good. Oh, yeah. Funny Ragnarok. It came out. It was I think it was $60. I don't know if we were doing $70 at the time. It came with my PS5, but it was a full game, full single player experience. It was a full, it was a game. It was complete. It was done. It worked well. And then they come out with a whole DLC that's like a roguelike for free. You don't have to pay for it. And it gives you more story, more character, and more gameplay. Like repeatable gameplay for free. For a AAA game. You didn't have to fucking put it, you didn't have to maybe pay for it, didn't put out a season pass or anything. It was a free update.
Yeah, that was really cool then, because like I was kind of like shocked that they didn't charge like $10 or whatever for it. They just gave everybody an entire game mode.
I think I heard that they wanted that to be included in the base game, but they just ran out of time.
Yeah.
So they just cut it. But because they wanted to be part of like the base experience, I don't know how they convinced Sony to let them do it for free, but because Santa Monica, as far as I know, is owned by Sony. So
yeah, it's a Sony exclusive studio. Well, so like that's funny because Last of Us was gonna do something like that too, and then they were adding like in the second Last of Us game, we were supposed to do a multiplayer mode, and it was going to be all this cool shit. And then they were like, "Oh, it actually evolved to be bigger, so we're going to make it its own product that we can sell you." And then they canceled it.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, that's crazy. I mean, God of War just gave us one.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are trying to figure that out.
I mean, I don't mind delays, but like delays that make sense and delays that
like,
like because I mean, it advanced again. I'll go back to Advanced Wars Reboot Camp. That was delayed twice. Once because the IRL war broke out, so they actually delayed it because of that. But then like they delayed it again because it wasn't ready. And people were like, "Yeah, why are you delaying the game?" And I'm like, "Because they're trying to make sure it's fucking fixed." Like Cyberpunk, CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red wanted to fix it, but they couldn't. They had to push the game out, so they had to push it out in a buggy, unreleased, fucked up mess. Game runs great now, but at the time they had to push that shit out. So I like delays for AAA games. I think are a good thing because it's like they're just trying to give you a better experience. They want to make sure the game works because so many AAA games come out today that don't fucking work on day one, and they have to patch everything. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what are we paying for? What do you get paid for, man? Like, god damn.
Well, this is funny. Like in between them fixing the damn game, it's just like here's the cyberpunk anime. Eat that while we fix it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I still find it funny because they got Studio Trigger to do it, and they're already next to UFO Table. They're my favorite like animation studio. But if I think it was just only hearsay, but fun fact about that is that Studio Trigger made Rebecca, the short chick with like blue skin and stuff. They made her. CD Projekt Red was like, we don't really like this character. Take out like the lolly-ish character. And Studio Trigger was like, well, you can either keep the character or you can find someone else to make your shitty anime. And they're like, all right, fine, you can keep the character.
They're like, literally, do not tell us what to do. We're like, you give
Pretty
us the rights,
much.
we're gonna do this.
Oh, look, and shockingly, it worked out, right? Because she's like she's like the standout character from the show, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, she's definitely like a fan favorite, and very important character in the story overall.
Yeah.
No spoilerinos. I have to get a Netflix subscription and then watch it, and then get a trial, watch everything I need to watch, and then not pay them anything.
I mean, we're getting a similar issue right now with like the Wit Studio because like apparently the Suicide Squad isekai anime is not doing so well, and it's because the animation is quite shit. But it's funny because people are saying it's like, oh, it's shit because the studio cares more about the Deer Girl anime more, and I was like, I've seen the animation quality between them, and I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
It's weird because I like the character designs of the Suicide Squad isekai thing. I thought the style was cool at least, but I haven't seen any of the animations, so I can't really speak on that.
I saw like what was considered like one of the worst parts was like as like a top down like running scene. I was like, Jesus Christ, it looks very bad. I was like I don't want to insult like the Wits studio. Like obviously it's like night and day, like the difference between what they care about and what they don't. It was like people were saying it was like the like Warner Bros. Like didn't give like enough animation budget, but it's just like I just like the idea of like they put more effort or like they put more manpower or priority over the Dear Girl anime opposed to like the multi-million-dollar franchise.
I mean, let's be real. If you were in that animation studio and you've seen the Suicide Squad's track record, like in popular culture over the last like decade, they'd be like, maybe not put all our eggs in this basket.
It's so weird to me because like fan base and stuff, but then everybody out of nowhere decided that they really wanted me to like the shows. And they're like, here's a movie, crap, it didn't do so well. So we remade that movie. Ah, crap, that didn't do so well. Here's a game, crap, that didn't do so well. What about a spin-off of Harley Quinn? Ah, crap, that didn't do so well. And it's like, stop it. Just sit down.
Hentai.
Stop it. Yeah. Just play Hentai Worlds.
Yeah.
That'll fix everything else.
Just release DC Hentai. And it will sell. It will sell. I guarantee you. 100%.
I'm sure that studio has to deal with like licensing problems too with DC, which is a freaking nightmare because the anime, like they probably want to do certain things and they're like, oh, I don't know, we are not that character, and it's just like, fine, we'll just bare minimum this. It'll look like the first season of Dragon Ball Super, and you guys can just get over it.
Yeah, it's like whatever. It'll look like Dragon Ball Super. The later seasons of fucking Seven Deadly Sins. It all looks like ass.
Yeah, they're just trying to mail it in to finish.
We have cute Dear Girl anime. We know this is going to work. We'll just put our effort into that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Like, like indie doesn't need like licensed projects. And it's kind of funny because like I've seen like this like myself at work dealing with like license projects and how much of a nightmare it can be. And so like to not have like it's weird though because you have, you know, higher ups that believe that if we make this game because it's this property, it will sell like crazy. And it's just kind of like, no, because if the game's not fun, people won't like the game still has to be fun. That's the thing.
It
You know,
has to be good.
go
You can't
figure,
just-
you know?
yeah.
It's like, so like when you're sitting here making this little game in your room on your own computer and you're like, oh man, you know, I'm trucking away,
They'll be trucking
telling me
out.
what to do. Like it's fine. But then you got these studios that are like, I really hope Wolverine sells well. Because
Yeah,
it's what,
like, well, they do that sometimes. It's sometimes a lot of AAA games now are running off of the fumes of their previous IPs because it's like I feel like Call of Duty is only even slightly relevant today because it was relevant before, and people are just Stockholm syndrome themselves into continue liking Call of Duty. And I like shit. What was it? I just had an example in my head. I mean, you can just see either the low effort about AAA games. There's clearly no love in a lot of them, or like there's so much like development turmoil that the game is like destroyed several times over during development that it just ends up coming out as a fucking mess. But
yeah.
it's I don't know. It's like Call of Duty has never made as much of a splash as it did back in like I think like Black Ops 2 days. It's just around because Call of Duty is just a thing that exists, you know?
Yeah, it's a circuit that people use for clips on like YouTube and stuff for like skill shots and whatever. And they're all just playing Warzone anyways, which is the free to play Call of Duty.
Well, it's Call of Duty, so it'll sell. Whereas like Nintendo's still just like, yeah, this is Mario, but we should still like make a good game because it's Mario, and we don't want Mario's like name to be tarnished with a shitty game, you know?
Yeah, we saw what happened to Sonic, so we don't want that to happen over here.
Yeah, you know, we saw what happened to Sonic.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's sad too, but you know, because I
Here's the
feel
thing,
like
at
what
least Sonic tries. Sorry, I just want to interject. Like
no,
Sonic
no,
may have
yeah.
gone downhill, but I can still feel with each iteration they thought it was going to work. Like Sonic Team still tries to do Sonic.
Yeah.
They still like their community and they try to do Sonic good. It's just that they fuck up sometimes.
They still high five at the end when they make the
Yeah.
final build, and they're like, "Yeah, we did it, guys!" And like, it's kind of nice for like, even if like the public doesn't receive it well, but to be like happy with the thing that you've made. Because I know there's a lot of people that it's a grind, you know, and you think that like, oh, I want to get out there into the game industry and work here at this studio and make Final Fantasy or like make whatever this big franchise game was, and you end up just being an employee.
Yeah.
And like your job is, it's like, oh well, the
And he's gone.
It's- yeah. No, did I get? Did I drop
you got
again?
a little bit
Right at the end. Is it, what are the employees like?
Do you have a fan running, Corey?
He does.
I think that might be messing with your sound, possibly.
Corey?
Oh, I do have a fan.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll pick up what I wanted to say about that because, like, as much as I am disillusioned with AAA games, like, I mainly blame like the development heads. I feel really bad for like the numerous amounts of people that probably did try their hardest to make stuff. Like, I'm sure there were some people who made Suicide Squad and tried their damnedest, but it was just shit. It was dead for like it was doomed from the get go because of how the game was like set up and designed. Like, and they get to go home and be like, see all the internet discourse about saying how the game is shit. And I'm not saying we shouldn't say a game is shit because we might hurt someone's feelings. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation. But doesn't stop me from also feeling bad for them. But I'm still going to call your game shit.
Yeah.
It's shit. But it's just
Yeah.
the unfortunate reality of AAA development. And like, the AAA seems so homogenized nowadays. I feel like if I played one AAA game, I played them all, which is when stuff like Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, Elden Ring comes out that kind of break the mold a lot. They go away from the norms that just, seem like they have their own identity and people that they clearly have a vision to make something unique. And then like indie games come along to like fill the niche of experimental ideas or giving a fan base that have been deprived of good content of something something to sink their teeth into. I think, honest to God, that's why Stardew Valley like took off and like did as well as it did, because Stardew Valley, if I remember correctly, is like one guy, and it came out in a time where Harvest Moon like lost like the creator or producer of Harvest Moon lost the licensing to Natsume, so he had to go make Story of Seasons with Xseed. That's what Story of Seasons is just Harvest Moon under a new title, and then Natsume kept trying to make Harvest Moon games and failing horribly because they're all fucking retarded over there and have no idea what it means to make a farming game. And between those two, there was like really no other good farming games. And then that guy, Chucklefish guy, drops Stardew Valley, has really pleasing visuals, really simple design. The pixel graphics look great. It runs well. There's so much stuff to do, and just kind of captured like old school Harvest Moon that everyone really loved, and it just caught everyone's like attention who likes farming games, and it's just kept that up the entire time. And again, that game's been updated how many fucking times now?
Yeah, I
Fuck,
was gonna say.
we were talking about that was like 2 months ago or something like that.
Mhm.
Like there was a big news that another Stardew Valley update dropped. Don't have to pay for any of it. It's still the game is still $15. That's it. That's all you got to pay for it, and you get so much content out of it. And he keeps updating the game, even though I think he's supposed to be working on something else.
Yeah,
But
he's doing that Chocolate Factory game.
it's just Stardew Valley. It's just $15 for the amount of shit you can get into that. And granted, there are farming games out now that you can probably sink your teeth into that may offer something that Stardew Valley doesn't. But Stardew Valley just like hit the nail in the time when farming game fans just didn't have anything to play, and it's like, here's something good for really cheap, and you were like, oh, but it's really good for really cheap. That's nice.
Yeah.
Does Power World count as an indie or no?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, just before we deviate from Stardew Valley, apparently, I just looked it up. I was like, it sold 20 million copies and a revenue of $300 million. So he made his money worth.
Yeah, he's
Well-
he's done. He won at life. Like,
Yeah. I mean, Stardew Valley is such a cultural impact that big companies are trying to make farm games.
yeah, and like,
Eh.
but the thing is, like, that's especially a genre that you have to do something unique compared to your competitors to like really stand out. Because there
Yeah.
are stuff that stand alongside Stardew Valley. Ironically, most of them being indie games.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people like, what is it? Fucking, what the hell was it? The sequel is My Time at Sandrock, but there was a one before that.
Portia.
Yes, my life in Portia or something like that. That's like a farming game people like. I think it's meh, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just doesn't appeal to me very much.
It was like super hyped on like the demo or early access, but when the whole game came out, everyone is just like whatever now.
Yeah, I mean it was all right, and they just came out with a sequel. And then Story of Seasons. Well, not exactly indie. They kind of got their groove back a little bit. The latest Story of Seasons are pretty decent. They have that farming game that's going to come out. Then you have so many farming games on the fucking Switch, like that fairy
Rune
farming
Factory,
game or
the
some
fairy
shit.
one.
Yeah. I don't think most. I mean, and again, most of them are adding stuff that's not farming to help them differentiate. But like farming games as a genre is like so
Yeah.
varied compared to a lot of stuff. There's so many different things. But then you have Stardew there, still sitting there with $15, bunch of free updates. Then he never asked for anything more, made by one guy.
Yeah, and these people that are making these other indie farming games, like they played Stardew Valley when they were younger and then learned to make stuff.
Yeah, like Stardew Valley could like inspire them essentially.
Well, it's like the passion.
I suppose.
Okay.
You're
You
still
cut out
playing
for
that
a
a
very
little
long time. I didn't know you were still talking.
bit.
Oh, no, yeah, I was just saying that like they also fuse it with like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and then there's the life sim games, people trying to get Animal Crossing pie, but of course Animal Crossing is a quote unquote triple. I don't know if I don't know. I honestly never even like thought to associate Nintendo games with the term AAA, but I guess it's true technically. But
I mean, usually AAA games are first party, more or less. Or if it's
yeah,
like the
it's just I
company's like
guess
highest grossing game, I guess. So like,
I guess I just realized I just never really thought about it that way. And then you have sometimes indie games are trying to emulate obviously really successful AAA games like I know a lot of indie games try and do creature collection a la Pokemon success with very limited success in that department. Hi, Temtem. You lasted long, didn't you? Everyone thought that that was going to become something. It never really did.
Well, I mean, that's like the one thing that I heard about them is just like, oh, the demo is like great and all that, but when the game came out, it's just like no one can actually play it because the systems like couldn't handle the overflow of people. So it's like no one could play it for like a year.
Yeah.
It's like that was like that kind of sucks, but it's like whatever.
I mean, I feel like
I
the
don't
only
really care
indie
about it.
game that came close to, emulating Pokemon and having success was Pal World, but I think that's thanks to obviously it's like almost satirical in their take of Pokemon, but at the same time, like I said, that game's closer to Arc than it is Pokemon. Like it does not play like a Pokemon game. It offers something different than Pokemon does just on top of being a creature collector.
Well, I mean, and like all the indie games and stuff like that is like it's like people who grew up playing like all the AAA games, but it's like the passion of one person and like the time and like it's literally just a passion project where it's like you put like your all your skill, like all your heart into one game, and like it comes out better than a AAA game. Whereas like it's a giant company with like trying to know like that has to make like millions of dollars with like 100 employees, and then like investors like constantly beating them down. It's like you better make a good fucking game, or you're gonna lose even more money from us because we're gonna leave you. So it's
Right.
just like there's like an indie developer doesn't have that much stress compared to like an actual company because like it's a passion project of one person who already has the vision of the game he wants to make entirely and just needs like as little as like one other person to help him make it as opposed to like 100 to like 100 investors or people that just like all have a different vision for it, and then they have to follow like all these rules and regulations of like I was like, no, I was like, we prefer this one because this is like the norm now and all that shit. It's like, just fucking put some passion into that shit, man. If you're spending millions of dollars, it's like, it was like, do you really care? Really, it's one thing that doesn't make sense to me. It was like, oh, it's like the new norm. Or it's like, yeah, it's like, but the norm's always fucking changing. It was like, just fucking make something that you actually like, and then just try and be the one that changes the norm. Be the Stardew Valley that brings on the era of farming games.
I mean, it's fucking. It's almost like because a lot of people who get put in charge of like making games nowadays like aren't passionate for the projects, so they kind of turn out shit. It's kind of like what you see with like it's not. I mean, it's pop culture nerd related, but not necessarily gaming. But like I feel like a lot of the reasons like I mean, obviously I'm going against the norm here, but like the Fallout show and all this other crap comes out, especially with like Star Wars and stuff. They come out with these TV shows and stuff, and it's all fucking shit because the people who are making these things don't care or don't understand or even seem to actively hate. Hello, people who make the Halo TV show. Fuck you, by the way. The IP that they're basing their shitty TV show on. And it's like, can we get some people who give two shits about making something good that care about the fucking like IP that you're making money on, and then you sit there and like make fun of and like actively tear down and destroy with disdain when like indie developers like look at the games that they like go downhill and they literally turn into Bender. It's like, well, I'm just gonna make my own game with blackjack and hookers, and they go and fucking make their own game that's way more fun, that's way better, you know.
Yes, it's like that. That's what like bothered me the most. Is like someone like literally made like a small comp. It was like it was a YouTuber that like that like goes all in on that type of stuff. But he like made a small compilation inside of one of his own videos. It's just like a compilation of just like interviews of people saying it was like didn't read the source material, never played the game. Or like it was like I just brought on here, I never even heard of this shit before. And it's like, but I'm gonna make it. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm
It's like,
making a Halo TV
everything's
show.
failing.
I'm making a Halo TV show about Halo. I think it was a video game. I never read the books. I never even looked at a screenshot of the game. I never played the game. I don't know what an Xbox is. But we're gonna make a TV show out of it. And then 343 is like, yeah, give them money. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with people? And then people
Yes,
sit here and scratch.
I
Like-
love John Halo.
Yeah, I love John Halo. I mean, that's the joke, right? It's like that's not Master Chief. This isn't Halo. And then they're like, "Oh, it's a different timeline. We're not trying to replicate the games." I'm like, I don't give a shit what stupid excuse you're
And
hiding.
why
when
are
your
you
show is
making
terrible.
this?
It's like your show's fucking
Yeah.
terrible. Here's the thing, though. It's like I talked about this with my friends a lot. Like, and I know I'm deviating a lot from the gaming topic, but I hate the television shows so fucking much. If I made a Halo TV show, I honest to God wouldn't even make it about Master Chief. The Halo like universe is wide enough. You can do your own stories. So I mean, I throw in Master Chief there occasionally for like a cameo or whatever, just to say like, "Hey, point and laugh," or point and cheer. That's Master Chief. But then we're gonna get back to our own characters or whatever the fuck we're doing. But it's like, no, let's just take all these characters and just like completely destroy them in our shitty fucking story that makes absolutely no sense. Because we wanted to make a sci-fi show, but all of our scripts suck so much balls, but we can only get this gig doing this Halo thing. So we're just gonna like destroy this thing that hundreds of thousands of people love and make the shittiest thing possible, and then yell at them when they don't like it. I fucking hate that show.
I mean, there was. I was like, now I gotta fucking Google it because I don't remember what it was called. I don't think it was called Forward Onto Dawn, but it was a. It wasn't live action. It was a CG. But it was like it was a movie where it was like Master Chief was only in like the very last quarter of the movie, but I still I still pretty much enjoyed it. But it's like the story was about it was like the school it was like the academy, and then you followed the character that you do see in the game because he becomes the captain of I think the Halo 4 like the fleet ship, the captain ship. But you follow the captain that you see and like is actually the nice one in Halo 4 when you go to the Forerunner planet. And I was like when I realized like, oh, that's the character that was like the main character of this movie. I was like, I actually like that guy, and I was like, it was like that's what made me like the short movie even more because I was like, I like that character. It was like, but it was like Master Chief was hardly in it. He was just like in the very last part of it when the Academy got invaded by the Covenant, and then he was there to save them. But it was like it was a little strange. It was like I still enjoyed it, but it was a little strange because it was kind of like a short romance, because like the captain would like fell in love with like another student, but it's just like that it was like it's an old fucking movie. I don't care about spoiling it. So it was like oh, she didn't make it, but it was like you still got Master Chief and then this captain who like he had issues with the cryo system that they use to like just cryo sleep when you're going like light speed to a whole other system. So like like that was like the main like issue of like being in the academy. It was like he can't become a captain or be on a ship because he can't like get his shit straight with the cryo sleep system, because he gets like the cryo like the fluid or something that he had to drink before going into cryo sleep like burns him from the inside, and you can see like him burn like his skin burning on the outside. So it's like the fact that like that's the issue they had to deal with. It was like, and he still became fucking captain of that ship. I was like damn, he actually fucking made it. And like he looks up with the reason he looks up to and he respects Master Chief in Halo 4 is because of he saved him in the academy when he was still like a student there. I was like that's a really cool connection. When I watched that movie, it was because I already played Halo 4. I was like I really like that. That was cool.
And I'm like, it was probably made by people who gave two fucks, people who wanted to make like their own fucking story about something. Because I mean, you can make a Halo TV show that's all about Sergeant Johnson or any other character. You can make up whoever the fuck you want. You can have your own Spartan team that doesn't exist anywhere else. You can do that. You just do it right. You just don't be fucking assholes. Just don't be shit at your jobs. But to reel it back into bringing it back to like the core conversation, it's like I think that's
still part of it because it's still talking about how shitty AAA games are.
Well, I know, and that's why I'm relating it back to what I'm about to say because like a biggest thing that has me on the side of indie developers is just like I hate seeing franchises I love being teared down and shit on like by whoever the new people are in these places, and it just makes me like I'm always apprehensive about AAA games. I'm never excited anymore. Like when an indie game comes out, it's usually like a pleasant surprise because what is it? They announced recently that there's going to be a new Dragon Age, right? And I'm just like, ugh. Like after, because I love Dragon Age, I even love Dragon Age 2. I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's actually my favorite one. And Dragon Age Inquisition is somewhere in the middle. And then I absolutely adore Mass Effect 1 through 3. We don't talk about the other one. And
Yeah.
but that's my point, is that I was a big BioWare nerd, but like all the people that were involved with those projects, they're not there anymore. Like BioWare today was nothing that was nowhere near the BioWare that was when those games came out. And after playing Inquisition and after playing Andromeda, I'm just like anything, and obviously after like Anthem and shit, BioWare is just a fucking turd factory. So now that they're just like, oh, we're coming out with a new Dragon Age, I'm just like, I'm not buying it just because you say it, just because it has Dragon Age on it. Like I am fully expecting you to fuck this up. Like I have no expectations of this, and I'm expecting this to fail. Like, do I hope that it doesn't and it's like the second coming of Dragon Age Origins? Sure, that would be fantastic. But research survey says not likely. Like it just makes me sad because I can't get excited for anything anymore because everything sucks. Everything just sucks nowadays. Like I can't get excited for anything. Especially a lot of my own IP franchises, outside of obvious exceptions like Nintendo has kept their quality up outside of Pokemon Company, but I consider Pokemon Company technically outside of Nintendo. They're just owned by them. Which, by the way, can we send some fuckers that work on Zelda and Mario over to Pokemon Team to show them how to optimize a fucking game for the Switch, please? Because after seeing Metroid Prime 4 gameplay, granted, it could be running on new Switch hardware that we don't know about yet, but I don't think so. Like the way that game looked, I'm like, send one guy from the fucking quality control or like performance team and send him over to Pokemon Company to fucking get their shit together. Because honestly, if Scarlet and Violet just ran at anything more than like 10 frames a second, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more. But that aside, for bitching about Pokemon again, but like it's just so many of my favorite franchises. Like, honest to God, like Pokemon. What was it? Pokemon Legends Z is announced. Yeah, Legends Arceus was really good, but now I'm apprehensive. I'm just like, you're gonna have lightning strike twice, or you're gonna fuck this up too. It's like I'm just gonna sit here and wait.
Yeah.
Twiddle my fingers like fucking evil mastermind in my chair, just being like, "We shall see." Impress me.
What's like now is like you're trying to there's like all these like once like highly respected or favored companies are like now there's like their fan base is just waiting for them to fail, because they'd rather just hate them at the start and then be proven wrong later on in hopes that they make an actual decent game like they used to, rather than just like be hyped for a game and then be disappointed afterwards, because that happens way too often now.
Yeah, because like I trust me, when Andromeda came out, Mass Effect Andromeda to be specific, I pre-ordered it, I played it, I tried so hard to like that game. And my brain is just like, stop, please. This is like actual poison. Stop playing this trash.
Well, I actually even did it worse. I literally didn't even open the case, and I should have done that in the previous start, because obviously you can go online and just see the reviews and how the gameplay works. I was so confident after playing 1, 2, and 3 that Andromeda was going to be a fucking masterpiece, because like you did 3 in a row good. There's no way it could get fucked up this time. And as soon as I was just like, you know what? There's something in the back of my head just says, let's just look and see what they did. And then I looked online, and it got, it was so bad. The mouth movement, the textures, the way that the voice acting was, it was so bad. I literally brought it back, and they're like, you can't return it because it's still in the wrapper. Oh, and so I walked out, I unwrapped it, brought it back in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna trade this in now.
Wait, what? How can you not return it if it's still in the wrapper?
Because you might have stolen it or something like that.
There was some sort of policy that they had, and I was just like,
yeah,
okay.
You have to open.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, fine. Walked out, unwrapped it, came back in. All right, I want to put this towards another game. Fuck this.
That's weird. Never heard of that before.
And here's the thing. At least again, this is just hearsay. I have no article to like, fucking refer to when I say this. It's just something that I heard at the time, that Andromeda was made by an entirely different team. They were made by the team that made the DLC for all the previous Mass Effects, so they had some experience, but they had never made a full game before. And not only that, EA was forcing them to use the fucking Frostbite engine that at that point I believe was only used for Battlefield, and that engine is not meant for third person RPGs, even though it is a shooter. and that caused a lot of problems. So that not only are they making an entire game that they were not familiar with making whole games, they're used to making DLCs with an entirely new engine that it's not meant for, and you just have a recipe for disaster. And I felt bad for it, but again, at the end of the day, that's still the product that was put out, and it's shit. And it tarnished Mass Effect so bad. We haven't had anything in years. We were lucky we even got the remastered trilogy that came out. I was ecstatic when that came out, but I think Andromeda was. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, didn't they tease like a continuation of Shepard's story?
Stop. And see you say that, and I'm just like, no, stop. It's over. His story is done. You can do more Mass Effect, but don't bring Shepard into it. And I don't understand what those devs are thinking, because all they're thinking right now is like, oh, well, the games that sold had Commander Shepard in it, so just do that again. And I'm just like, no, you're gonna fuck up the story. You're gonna fuck everything up. Granted, you almost fumbled the ball at the end of 3, but you somehow slapped a Band-Aid on that at the last second. But it was just that's all they think about. It's like, just emulate, just do what we did before, do what sold. I'm like, it's not about what sold. You just make a good fucking game. That's all you have to do. I have so much vitriol for like modern day gaming and AAA games. If they came out tomorrow and said, oh, new Mass Effect coming, I'm just like, oh Christ, what are they gonna do? Like, this is gonna suck. I don't even want it. And I think Andromeda was also the end of my pre-ordering days. I very, very rarely will pre-order a game anymore. If it's something I'm interested in, I'll wait till it comes out and then watch all the, anything that comes out about it, obviously, and then be like, now that I can see the gameplay and what the game's actually like, I'll buy it. Because I'm already starting, like, I'm still probably going to buy it. I haven't pre-ordered it, and I'm not going to. But Space Marine 2's open beta was canceled because they want to focus on finishing the game. And I was like, okay, red flag, that game comes out next month. Like, you're not done? What the fuck do you mean you need to focus on finishing? Granted, I'll give it to you, finish the game, but like, delay it or something. Because canceling the open beta like that when you're really close to release day is like a red flag for me. I'm like, trailers look good, but I'm hoping this can come out of it. It's what? It's what?
No, Corey.
What was it, Corey?
Oh, Jesus Christ, he's gone for
Yeah, goddamn, he's gone.
Did I cut? Oh.
Yeah, okay. What is it? You said
No.
it's and then cut out.
Oh, I said it's probably their swarm system that they have to get to work, because it's like a whole new thing for having millions of enemies on screen.
Well, no, it's their patented technology they used in World War Z. They just have to readjust it for Space Marine. They already have the technology. It can't be that.
Moo.
No, Jesus Christ.
Moo, you're a cow. Moo.
Zombie out. Bring alien in.
Yeah, exactly. Just switch out the models and it'll probably work. Switch out the rigs a little bit. That's what I'm saying. And so, like, red flag, like, I'm like, your guys are saying you need to finish, and the game comes out next month. It's a little sus, my brother. I'm sorry. Whereas, like, I guess, I mean, if I kept track of more indie game, I mean, and I say all this saying like indie games are like completely free of bad reputation. They're not. On top of like all the scandals and shit with AAA stuff, you have indie games that the numerous like Patreons that get funded, and the game comes out and it's like a half-assed version of what they were promised, and all this other nonsense, people taking the money and running. I don't look at the indie scene as much as someone like, say, Corey obviously does, because I know you support shit on Patreon that you find interesting. Indie games for me are usually just pleasant surprises I just happen to find out in the wild, or I have like some like secondhand knowledge of someone like recommending it, because my friend keeps Tim keeps poking and prodding me about playing Stellaris. He keeps telling me that I'd really like that game, and that's like a Resident Evil inspired like sci-fi survival horror indie game that I've seen, and I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty decent. I'm just waiting for the time to find time to buy it and play it. I just have so much other shit to play. But it's just like, I knew nothing about that game, but like everything else is everything I heard about it's good. And that was it the Crow Country or something like that?
Yeah.
Corey, you brought that up a while ago, and it just randomly popped into my head the other day, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. Not what I was expecting.
The demo's fun.
But maybe,
the demo is really fun.
I don't know, Corey, can you speak more on the like indie projects that, I mean, like I said, we don't want to like, I want to be fair, because there's been some shitty shit that's happened with indie projects where they've fallen through or like not delivered on promises.
Silk Song.
Well, that's just like non-existent at this point. I'm talking about like shit that's like, thanks for your money. Here's the turd. Like, oh, I was expecting a game, sort of thing.
I don't know.
Oh, here's a good example. What about what was it? Spiritual successor to Mega Man. Was it like Mighty Number 9 or something?
Yeah,
like that?
Oh,
Mighty.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there
Mighty
you go.
Number
There's a good
9.
example.
Their marketing had like really dropped the ball on that one. And then the game itself looked like crap.
It also like run like shit too.
Yeah, they had to do like a whole overhaul. But it was just like, why did they do it in that 3D style? They should have done it like how Mega Man X is. Did I drop?
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
dropped.
no, you're not. I was,
Okay.
no,
I
no,
was
you're-
doing so well for most of this, and then I
no,
started
you-
getting.
I mean, I heard all of that last part. I mean, you have been cutting, but not for
Yeah,
that.
just that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you had more to say. I was like,
Well, yeah, I was
did
just stopping
he
because
stop or just-
Oh
I-
yeah. No,
I was just bringing it up because I was like, I knew that was a big thing when it, because obviously I had nothing to do with it because I didn't give two shits about Mega Man or that game, but it came out. And even you, Corey, I think, because it came out when we were in college. I think you were excited for it, and then it came out, and I came over and I was like, I've been hearing a lot of shit about this game that it sucks ass. Does it suck ass? And you were like, yeah, it kind of sucks ass.
it's just not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like I would much rather play Mega Man X than play that game because Mega Man X is at least responsive and fast.
It's weird that it's like that Mighty Number 9 was like made by the original
But yeah, the creator.
But it's like, and also like I saw the trailer for it. I was like, this trailer seems more like an insult to the fan base than like than trying to sell a product. It was like, because like actually it was like, are you a fucking nerd? Like plays like what? It's like waifus and all these shooter games. Like, well, this is the game for you. It's like, why the fuck would you call your fan base that or something?
Yeah, thanks for making me feel bad. I guess I'll play your game.
And I mean, for me, like I don't have that much experience in the whole indie world, but all I know is that when me and Corey were starting, or me, Corey, and Ed when we're doing our previous YouTube channel to this, I mean, we were trying different games. We were doing the Human Fall Flat. We were doing what was the name of that toy game, the shooter toy game that was really cool?
Oh, Hypercharged.
Yeah, like those games
fun.
there, it's like they put a lot of effort.
Hypercharged is fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, it's just like they put a lot of love into that game. Like they're just nostalgic. He just fucking brought you back to your good old days when playing with toys and such, and you're just like going around shooting things. You could see that they're really trying to make a good game rather than just pushing out bullshit. Like they really wanted to have a good game to be remembered for, and I mean, they did a damn good job.
That was like because I saw the gameplay of that. It looked like someone played Gears of War like horde mode and was like, let's just make a game, but like just that,
Yeah, but based off of '90s nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they didn't just copy Gears of War. They're like, what if we made it like toys and shit? It's like Toy Story, defend, horde mode essentially.
You have to fight Beyblades in that game. And Power Ranger, the Red Ranger comes for you, and you can't escape.
That's funny. It's just like, what is it? You said like the red. Like, oh no, the Red Ranger's being slowed down by my jizz juice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere.
He fell in the jizz.
Yeah, I found the jizz because you can put like Elmer's glue everywhere as a trap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you just said Human Fall Flat. There's another example of a game that continuously just gets free updates, just adding new maps and stuff, just never asking for any more money.
I turn on Steam and it's like updating. It's like, what? Why? What happened?
It just keeps getting updated. I don't know why. I don't know who like the one guy is still making maps for it, but he keeps doing it.
I really like ragdoll physics. The world will know.
It's the one person who's responsible for like almost all the maps in that game. Like the guy who's like responsible for like the majority of the Wikipedia articles and all that.
He's super stressed out. God damn it. Fucking maps. Nobody's gonna do it himself. I gotta keep it going. Fuck. I'm getting
mainlining
divorced.
coffee in a basement.
Yeah.
I haven't seen my kid in 3 years.
They're depending on me. I need to push out these free maps. It'd be great if I got paid for this.
I think Phasmophobia gets a bunch of updates too.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I've been trying to get my friends to go back to. Hey, we should play that. We should try to get my friends to go.
We all own it.
That. Yes,
I
I
just-
just play that at some point. Because last time I played it, there's been shit tons of updates added to it. Shit tons. All
What was the
free.
guy's name?
All free.
Is it Daryl Dixon? What was the
What the fuck?
Donald?
That's the guy from The Walking
Donald
Dead.
Dexter.
No, not Daryl.
Donald
Yeah, Donald
Dexter.
Dexter. That was the zombie or the ghost. We were just yelling his name in the house.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, that's what you gotta do.
Just Walking Dead.
It's just
Doing
super
this.
annoying.
Yeah.
Though.
It's just Daryl Dixon. Yeah, from what he's like. What do you want? Like,
Yeah.
oh, what the fuck are you doing in this house?
Yeah.
Cleaning my motorcycle, ready for my spin
doing,
off.
doing a favor for Kojima.
Yeah. This isn't Dead Stranding.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong game.
I was looking for my Monster Energy.
Yeah. I'm surviving on Monster Energy drinks, and I think that's it. I don't think he eats anything else.
Does that really have a story to it at all, or is it just?
No, it's
It's-
just product placement.
Wow.
Death Stranding has a very convoluted story that's pretty cool, but it's much better to watch the 11 hours on YouTube than play the game because it's basically Krusty Krab Pizza Simulator.
11 hours, that's much more than I expected.
I know. There's a lot of fucking dialogue.
I guarantee you, like 90% of that dialogue's unnecessary.
I think there's 4.5 hours in Metal Gear Solid 4 of just cutscenes. It might even be more than that.
That was
I might
a good game though.
That game was fun as hell.
Those
I
eggs
do.
look
I do
real.
enjoy the Metal Gear franchise, and then you get to Phantom Pain, and I mean it was fun, but I didn't really care that much. I was checked out after Snake's story kind of wraps, but you know I do want to play Snake Eater. There's a AAA game that I'm excited about that I just remembered, but I've played Snake Eater, so I know that I like that game.
I almost like discount remakes unless they're like particularly slaughtered somehow. Because I mean, you're just copying, what
Yeah.
came in the past. Like you can do there is a difference between doing a good and bad remake, but it's just so fucking easy to shit out a good one. And it's like you made the game. Probably the people who made the remake had nothing to do with the original, more than likely. And
Yeah.
so you're just reselling what came in the past. So
To be fair, like speaking of like spin-offs and people that were in the industry, like I have Yuden Chronicles. That's the Suikoden guys. And then I also have Kickstarter backings for what was it? It was that Wild Arms one I was showing you. Armed Fantasia.
I like
think.
that. I like that.
So I've pre-ordered that game. I pre-ordered Penny Blood. That one's
Penny
still
Bud
coming.
looks sick too. Yeah, I watched that.
Crow Sworn is another one. I actually did a fan art of their character, and they liked it on Twitter, so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, "Ooh, giddy!" But it's a Plague Doctor game that's like Devil May Cry meets. It's like Devil May Cry meets Hollow Knight, so like the gameplay style is pretty fucking rad. But
We did get
Like-
Crowcart too.
yeah, we did get Crowcart. I've played what is that? Blasphemous, and like a bunch of like I consume a lot of indie products, but it's nice when people that were making the games that I liked as a kid are making their own games inspired by those because they want to bring them back, but they can't. So it's like, all right, well, fuck it, we'll make our own thing, and it's like, oh, yay.
make blackjack and hookers. It works most of the time.
Yeah.
Of the time.
I even back to. I have to look at the title of it again, but it was like like an original manga franchise or thing, and like I bought all their books, so I should be getting that
what was
shortly.
that? It was a comic book that you really liked back in college. What was it called? The only thing I remember about it that I really liked, the giant mech guy. It got made into a game. Help me out, Corey. It was your thing.
Giant.
It was a
mech-
giant robot space marine looking mech dude, and it was like this dark fantasy turn-based RPG thing that was based off of like a comic book or something.
Warhammer?
No, not no. It was an indie thing. Fuck, what was it called?
Shit. I'm trying to think because that would have been like PS3, PS4.
Yes, kind of. I don't know if it even had a physical release or not. I know I see it. Fuck, what was it called? That's the only thing I remember about it, is that it had a big like steampunk looking mech dude, and then a bunch of I think like one of the characters was like pirate lady or something like that. I don't know. I'm having a really. It was turn based. It was like grim dark. It had like really nice like hand drawn visuals. Battle
gonna find it.
Chaser? No, Battle something.
Oh well, yeah, Battle Chasers. Yeah,
Was
that
that
was
right?
another one. That
Okay.
was because it has the giant robot, the pirate girl with the daggers,
Yes,
and the
there you
main
go.
character that looks like Guts from Berserk,
Yeah,
and then Punchy Gloves.
yeah,
They
that
they
was
have
what I was
names. I
thinking
just don't know what they are
of.
right now.
Well, no, that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
because I remember you were super excited for that, and I looked at it and was like, I like the robot guy.
yeah. They have. I love the art style, but I like that. I like that artist a lot in general, Joe Mad. Like I think I gave like a presentation on him in like pop culture or
I
some
think you
shit.
did, yeah.
Yeah, but his art style is freaking cool as hell, and that game looks cool as hell. And that I think that studio has an MMO that's out. I don't know what it's called. It's like Wayfinder or something like that, but it's like a weird like techno medieval or something. But they also did the League of Legends RPG.
Oh, that makes sense. Now you say that the fucking art style is similar.
Thresher, Thrall, or whatever his name is, the guy with the
Thresh.
lantern.
Yeah,
Thresh.
Thrall is Orc Jesus from WoW.
Or Jesus from WoW.
Jesus.
That's the pet name for him because at some point in the story he just basically became Orc Jesus.
Like
He
I
was
always liked.
a
I'm
good
gonna
orc that
and
could do everything.
I'm saying it in the chat, but like this character in Battle Chasers was like always his design is fucking badass, and he's like the demon hunter.
Demon Hunter.
Yeah, he's
He kind of
cool. But
looks
I
like
love.
the guardian character from Darkest Dungeon. So he doesn't have like a giant greatsword.
There's an indie
Hey,
game that
there's
I like. I like Darkest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're usually playing it when we're on these calls.
Yeah, now that I used to. I still play it occasionally especially because I mod the crap out of it. But I also realized, wait, I have a Switch that I can hold in my hands and talk and play it in my hands at the same time.
Yeah.
Probably
Well,
the most use I've got out of
Dark,
the portability of this thing.
there's some like the thing too that's really interesting is the cultural phenomenon of some of these like indie games that are circulating on YouTube channels that I watch that do lore videos. Like Fear and Hunger is one that shows up now.
Have you ever watched a breakdown for Darkwood?
Not Darkwood.
That's a really crazy one. That's again survival horror indie game with a really cool art style, but also like a really cool story that I like a lot.
I think that
Yeah,
was a
because
free monthly
Indie
game
does
on
survival
Xbox at
horror a
some
lot
point.
now that I think about it.
yeah, survival horror games are like I think the easiest to make.
Well,
It's a
horror and
part like
platformers.
yeah, platformers are tough because they actually require pretty good level design for them to stand out. But I mean, outside of art style, of course. But I mean, Thomas Was Alone literally is just squares, and it's really good. But like the horror games, they're going off of hoping Markiplier somebody plays it, and
Well, I
they're
would say that
usually
more
just
about the mascot horrors hoping because that's a whole new genre that's spawned, which is a different conversation. But I feel like
yeah,
I don't know,
they're all like
horror is like
Slenderman clones.
well, they're all like horror itself can be like super creatively rich, which is why I think a lot of indie people like get drawn to it because I don't know, you have a lot of freedom with horror just to explore really fucked up ideas or just like hard questions and shit like that that people just want to talk about.
Yeah, Corey
Yeah,
Daymare.
yeah, Daymare. There you go. Well, the thing with like those horror games too, it's like I like how expansive they can be, I guess. Like I like horror movies in general because like you can do anything. Like it's almost an unexhaustible like
Oh yeah.
topic. So it's really fun. Like I have wrote a um what is it like a an outline I guess for a horror movie myself that's inspired by SCP stuff. I've played plenty of horror games. I watch a lot of horror movies. I just find them interesting and they're it's easier to make a first person controller and drop somebody into a world and just kind of the hard part is like the jump scare and like what's the theme, but most of the time they're just like find these things and the game's done.
How about no? I mean, I have way more respect for the games that don't do fucking jump scares. That just give. It's either. I mean, everyone says it. It's just a fucking meme at this point. But it's like I like psychological horror. It's like technically speaking, all horror is psychological because it's all fake shit in our mind. But I like the stuff that isn't just bleh. Like, you scare me. It's like yeah, you scared me. Good job.
Yeah.
um, that's why I like
Yeah.
Darkwood.
I'm also
'Cause
a fan of like Cthulhu stuff.
well, atmosphere. Just being in a horror setting, just making me scared through fucking lighting and ambient sound is just like so rich. Like doesn't even need to be. I mean, fuck. That's the reason why those stupid liminal space games are creepy. Even if they don't put monsters in it, it's supposed to just be like unsettling, uncanny valley sort of shit.
I played a Backrooms game that had like hyper realistic graphics.
Oh yeah.
And my heart rate was going up, and I didn't even encounter a monster. Like I was so worried about encountering a monster that I was just like, holy shit. Like I had my headphones on, like the surround sound stuff was going. I was like super immersed, and I'm like, bro, he's gonna get me. And there might not have even been an enemy in the game. Like because I ended up beating it and saw the credits and was like, oh, maybe I just got absolutely lucky. But I was fucking terrified the entire time. And it was like an hour-long experience. But
that's why SCP is like undying, is because like there's like 30,000 SCP made by the community, and then like they add random ones, and then like every time you find a new one, it's like, oh god, what the hell is his gimmick? So that's what you're afraid of.
Well, I mean, SCP itself, that could be a whole fucking podcast episode. I should force you all to read or watch some SCP shit.
Yeah, we'll watch some exploring series, and we'll get in there.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Anyways, well, like, because SCP is like kind of close to my heart because I love it's like the craziest writing project because everything's public domain. Because it's all just horror writers, and it's not even horror because I've read some of the more like touching or melancholic shit I've ever read on SCP. Because there's plenty of SCP articles that just focus on like wholesome shit that's not just all horror. Yes, it started that way, obviously, but like SCP is just so broad.
I'm sorry.
Concept.
What is SCP? I'm sorry.
Secure control.
Well, the easiest way to describe it to you is SCP, which, funnily enough, when I was at work the other day, a fucking van drove by with the fucking
acronym?
The logo SCP. Yeah, the acronym. Thank you. The acronym SCP on the side. I was like, but
that's scary though.
Yeah,
what the hell is here?
Yeah, it's like, oh shit.
What number is it?
Yeah, what number is it? What do I have to do? Or am I already fucked?
Is it my truck?
Is it my truck? But SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect, and it's the SCP Foundation. It's basically a fictional. It's a fictional.
It's like X-Files.
Well, kind of. It's a fictional. Business is the wrong word. Foundation. That's what I guess that's what they usually refer to themselves as.
A fictional foundation.
Yeah, so essentially they keep all the demons, creatures, they call them anomalies, and they each call them SCPs, and they're anomalies, and they're basically glitches in reality that they keep secret for the rest of the world. They live in the shadows, or they protect in the shadows so we can live in the light is one of the taglines for the series.
Kind of like Men in Black.
Basically.
It's good, but like less comedy. It is mainly focused on horror, but like I just said, there's a whole broad aspect. But the point of it is that no one owns SCP. It's a public writing project where anyone can submit stories, and if it gets voted high enough, you get an SCP article, which is how it's presented to you. Each thing is like an article about like something or some phenomena or some creature, like what its anomalous properties are.
That's cool. I like that.
Usually some like dude, I'll forward you some shit that you can listen to real easy. It's great.
It's cool, like creepypasta type thing that like just came out of nowhere, and like I do prefer it over creepypastas because creepypasta was like trench coats and Edge.
Well, here's the thing: creepypastas like were the seeds of internet horror. I think the newborn creepypasta is all that analog horror shit you see on YouTube now, which is nom, 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 nom. I love that shit.
The fucking what is it, Skinamarink? Have you seen that shit?
No, what the fuck are you talking about?
It is just like a slow burn of just terror of like this thing that's in a house with two kids that are like under 5 years old, and it's just uncomfortable camera angles and just children being hurt, but they're not allowed to die, and it's like, God, why did you make this?
Hi, this is Horror Games episode part 2. bringing it
We're
back.
talking about an indie project. It's indie writing.
You can tell what we like.
Yeah, I mean, technically, well, the point is that's a public writing project. Yada yada yada. Anyone can like put shit on it. I'll forward you some shit in Discord after that you can look at. Fun fact: look up the podcast, the Exploring series on Spotify. One of my favorites he doesn't do exclusively SCP shit, but a lot of it.
That's how I got all my Cthulhu Mythos stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, but I mean, there's been SCP indie games. There we go.
Bam, got it.
Bam, got it. Brought
Circle
it back.
back.
Yeah. Found the exit. But which I find funny. I think SCP has a great, because again, it's public domain. So I mean, fuck, I found a fucking SCP light novel the other day in like the manga section at the bookstore, because technically it's public domain, so you can just do whatever you want with it. I'm kind of surprised there isn't more SCP like indie games. There's a couple that have caught fire, but
yeah, it's mostly backroom stuff.
yeah, Backrooms kind of took it over, which I'm fine with. But the thing is, SCP is so broad that the Backrooms in its entirety could be a singular SCP article. Granted, I'm a little like, man, my shit was cooler than the New Age shit sort of thing, looking at Backrooms compared to SCP. But I'm like, they can live in tandem. It's fine. But I declared it was fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
But
Backrooms hard as fuck.
yeah, but then there's the Backrooms games and stuff like that, which originated as that analog horror thing that I just said on YouTube, and then they made games about it, about the liminal spaces and things like that. But there's just so many. I feel like there's a good success rate with indie horror. But obviously there's like limits. Again, I don't like it. Just was like, blah, jump scare. That's all the game is. It's like, let's have like a story or something. Try and like tell me something or send a message. Like, make a cool monster for God's sakes. Like that's the lowest bar to clear. But going back to indie games as a whole, because I said before, I don't really keep track of indie games. Like, obviously, AAA stuff is pushed in my face a lot more, which is why I have some kind of fingers on the pulse of that. But indie games are just kind of like random shit that I pick up on a whim, like I did with Shovel Knight. It's just like, oh, Shovel Knight on the Nintendo DS. I've heard good things about this, and it's like $20. Fuck it, I'll buy it. And then it was like one of my favorite games ever, especially platformers.
Yeah.
Same thing with Shantae. I was just like, you know what? I like Shantae. She cute. I've heard decent things about Shantae. I picked it up, and it's like my favorite platformer ever. I was trying to get y'all to play it, but I fucking love Deep Rock Galactic. That's a great indie game. Then like they come out with like small cosmetic DLCs with each season, and they have a season. They have battle passes. You don't got to pay for any of it. It's all free. The only thing they ever charge you for after the base game, which is only like $20 or $30, I think, is just, well, it's like here's some cosmetics that you can get, but there's also shit tons of cosmetics you can just get in game, so you don't even have to buy these. It's just if you want to support us, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like Deep Rock Galactic is fucking fantastic multiplayer game that you can just get like endless hours of replayability out of.
It's like most of the indie games that like I find it's from like Facebook ads, which I very much prefer over all these shitty mobile games that like aren't even real. And then like there's also like a gamer, like an indie like gamer group, indie creation gamer group that like Corey invited me to a very long time ago.
Yeah, I like following those like indie dev creators just to see what they're making and stuff like that, and it helps me with ideas too, because like I like dabbling in game design stuff in my free time. But yeah, like AAA games have like events. They're so marketed because they're mainstream, of course. I mean, they get TV shows, movies, all types of shit, and like indie games can blow up, but their discoverability is like really weird because it's almost based solely on memes, and like if a content creator picks it up randomly, and then
if a content creator picks it up, but then if it's shit, no one's gonna buy it, so they have to stand on
the game still has to be like innovative, but at least like people can try to be innovative. Like a lot of the AAA, they absolutely play it safe. They're vanillaing like everything, out of fear of people just won't get it. So they're just like dumbing all this shit down. And then you turn around and have like Cadence of Hyrule, which is a spin-off of that the rhythm dungeon game.
Necro Dancer.
Yeah, Crypto the Necro Dancer. And it's like, what a weird idea I would have never had that idea. One, I don't really play like rhythm games that much. I mean, I've played like DDR and stuff, but like that's such a unique idea. And telling a big ass studio to be like, "Hey, can I have $1 million to make this?" They'd be like, "No, that sounds terrible." It's like, all right, but like that's a crazy game. There's a dude who released a whole roguelike game on Steam, and I think it's called like Moonlight or something like that.
Oh,
Oh,
Moonring.
Moonlighter.
Not Moonlighter. I have that. That's really fun too. Moonlighter is really fun. But what was the one you said?
Moonring.
Moonring. Like that game is free.
Yeah,
And it's a
free.
full rogue game, and it's done in like was it ASCII art?
Ah.
No, it's just like it's old school like pixel art, but it's crazy. They just like made it and released it, and it got thousands of downloads. And it's like, dude, you could have made money. And it's like, yeah, I just made this thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
isn't
they
it
just
made
felt
by
like
the Fable creator?
Yeah, I think it was the guy who made the first Fable game or something like that, and we just like released this thing out here, and it's just stomping. And then you got Suicide Squad, which cost so much damn money in 7 years, and it's like, I mean, I don't know how long this game took to make, but it's like
Not
there's
7
only
years.
200 people playing. There's only 2 people playing Suicide Squad, and they're gonna make the game free to play on Prime, which is weird, but they're gonna shut it down and at some point, and everybody thought that wasn't gonna happen, but it's like, yeah, well, you can't tell me that I'm going to love this game for 10 years. I tell you that I love the game for 10 years, and that's just how it works. Players decide what's going to be popular. And oddly enough, like you can take a lot more risks with indies because your game doesn't hit. You don't have bureaucracy holding you back from anything. So you
Yeah.
can develop another thing in like a year. And it's proven that like, graphics aren't really everything. You can, as long as the game's fun and has a compelling like hook, then you're in. There is some aspects to visuals and music, but the main thing is like, is your game compelling enough for me to want to pick it up again?
Well, it's like, you have to hit it on something because, I mean, again, what you just said, I think having less heads in the project, since most of these are made by like one person, 2 people, a small group of people, because it's like Undertale. Toby Fox wanted to tell an entertaining story about friendship and love and crap, and also made a fucking banger soundtrack. And he came from making fucking, what was it, Earthbound mods, and or something, style wise, because I'm pretty sure that's why Cuphead caught fire, because it's like, we're gonna make a game based on like, what was it, like 20s animation, rubber hose animation. And
yeah,
it's like it caught fire because like, wow, this game looks fucking crazy. You're playing a cartoon, and it works really well. And it was just like this really fun. And the gameplay was really good too. So it looked great. It played great. The soundtrack was banger, and so it caught fire, and everyone loved it. And like, so indie games have to fucking try to make good shit, different shit, to stand out. And a lot of it will probably have to do with a content creator, someone finding it and picking it up, or just somehow catching fire on like, Twitter or something. Of just something about the game that are people like, hey, look at this thing. I mean, hell, I said it before, but like Pal World was in development for years, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's like a meme game. That's never gonna happen. Then I'm just like standing here now, I'm like, huh, that was real, huh?
wow, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, it's wild. Like Dungeon Munchies, that one,
but I was fucking watching you play that end of that game, and I was like, man, it's got like really heavy and shit all of a sudden. Like, I'm gonna fucking cry.
like Dungeon Munchies is pretty good. Lost Ruin is pretty fun. It also has a really good like end game thing where you play the game over again as like the bosses, and then there's what is it? God, it's
Well, what do you think about that? You said about zombie games earlier. I forgot one of my more favorite indie zombie games, Death Road to Canada. That shit is good rat. Fucking, it is a like little pixelated game where you can like create a character, of you and a buddy, and like it's kind of like Oregon Trail, or even Oregon Trail. That was another fun one. Oregon Trail was a zombie ripoff of Oregon Trail. Same kind of gameplay where you have to travel across country with managing resources and doing a little bit of combat to like reach a certain point within a certain amount of days or die trying. And it's almost like a roguelike, but that's a really fun indie game that I like coming back to every now and again.
Axiom Verge, that's the one.
Oh, I
It's
know.
like
I
That
haven't
sounds
played it.
familiar.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
like the
it's
title.
Hang on.
it's banger music, and I just love the style. And it's so wild
Oh,
out
okay.
there story, but I've played both of them. And that's one guy, at his house just putting a game together. And I think it was a Kickstarter game, the first one. I'm not sure, but I bought it at GameStop off of the shelf.
I'll
And
fucking one of the I mean, maybe I'll even get footage of it for this episode, maybe. But I know it's been in other episodes on the YouTube side. But I've played the fucking uh, was it Hollow Cure, which is just vampire survivors,
yeah,
but that was made by one guy who just really liked Hololive. Hololive is a group of VTubers for all five of you who don't know. Is a group of VTubers that he just made for free. The game is free. He never plans on selling it. He just did it for fun and because Cover Corporation or Chads, it's not like they like copyright struck him or anything. They were like, "Hey, cool, free advertisement. Good job." Um, and he just made that game, and it works just as good, if not better, than Vampire Survivors does. And he just did it out of love for fucking VTubers and Hololive. He just did it for the fuck of it. Never saw a dime, and I love playing it.
Yeah, it's just those passion projects. This is like it was like there's like yeah, you need a gimmick, but first you like you need the passion to like actually go through with it because like it was like you might not get it. It's because like a company is like they're gonna make something, but probably gonna lose more. But it's just like you gotta like have enough passion to go through it. It was like with the not with the knowing it was like you might not make any money. It was like you might not make it like sell a whole lot. You're not going to be famous or anything like that. But it's like I mean it's like that. It's like where it all began, or where it all begins. So like any project that you make on your own. But I mean, there's like more resources that you have that like it's like people would trust you more than they would trust a giant corporation. But it's just like you gotta like tell someone about it and like
Yeah,
get
I mean,
like a group
yeah,
together.
as much as people, as much as it might be hard, you can tell when someone gives two fucks about their project. You can tell when there's love. Even if it's a failure, you can still tell they tried a lot of the time. Also, Jesus Christ, I didn't know that there was an official teaser for fucking Mass Effect, and I want to vomit.
yeah, it's old. I don't know if they're going to pursue it, but like,
Well, they fucking
I
came out
don't
with a teaser
understand.
trailer for fucking Elder Scrolls 6 how many years ago at this point?
Yeah, it's just a fly over the landscape with like a title reveal.
Well, the thing is, you don't have to do more than that as long as you're not lying, because all that was meant to be is like, hey, we're working on
Yeah, they
this.
did it with Metroid.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're working on this. It's like, cool. And I'm fine with that. But then like after a year or two goes by, it's like, so you still working on that or or what?
I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
funny
Depends on
because
how good Dragon Age does.
Yeah.
it's funny because like my confirmation for Elder Scrolls 6 is freaking Bungie sent out like a roadmap for like the next 5 years or some shit.
You mean Bethesda?
Like it, no, Bungie, no like no Bungie. They said they put out a roadmap for Destiny like a year ago, and then like 2026 or like as like either 2026 or 2028. It was like it's like the fucking Destiny 3 and also collaboration armor for Elder Scrolls 6. I'm just like
Oh.
that was real.
Well,
They
I was
weren't
questioning.
lying about
I just
it.
thought you misspoke for a second because I'm talking about Elder Scrolls. Why the fuck are you talking about Bungie?
Well, there's like a confirmation of like, I guess Elder Scrolls 6 is actually a thing that's being made.
Yeah,
It's like the
right.
same thing could go for the Fable remake, where it's just like if Xbox announced it was like, like a really short trailer, it was like, Fable, and it's just like 3 years later, nothing, and it was like, here's another trailer, and then everyone's just shitting on the main hero girl, and it's just like, okay, well, it's like 2 years later, it's like here's another trailer. And it's just like this game is like doing the Silk Song thing, but at least they're putting out trailers for this shit.
Well, like going back to like iterations of games and like shit getting shittier. Like I talked about Zenless Zone Zero a bit, obviously in the beginning of here, but like Hoyo caught fire with Genshin. They got a lot of money from that. They do a lot of stuff for Genshin, and then they like, let's just make another game, and they make Honkai with a bunch of different mechanics and characters and shit, and they get a bunch of money from that. And they're like, let's make another game. It's like I see more returns for my gotcha games than I do for my fucking AAA games that I might even care about, because it's like they get a bunch of money and they use the money to make like IRL events, new content, new games, all this other shit that happens for all the money they get. It's like I feel like there's an actual return on my quote unquote investment into the IP. Granted, sometimes they can bite me in the ass because, like I said, one of them shut down, but I just generally I'm more hyped for a fucking free update in Fate Grand Order than I am for any AAA game coming out nowadays. Because it was like, ooh, fun content.
Invest, and we will produce more waifus and husbandos for you to consume. Consume products.
Consume, I
That's
shall.
no question.
I want more story and more gameplay elements. The anniversary update was amazing. The new gameplay mechanics are super fun. Anyways, I'm something was on the tip of my tongue because it's like there's so much technical indie shit around nowadays that I'm trying to remember. There was probably
What do you
another
mean
one.
by that?
Well, I meant like not like shit, but like just the fact that like how much can be considered indie, you know what I'm saying? Compared to like stuff that's highly published and stuff. Like if I look on my
I mean, at this point, anything that's pretty much pixelated art.
Well, that's another thing, right? It's like I feel like indie games have kept that retro feel alive because they have to work on lower fidelity. When I say lower fidelity, like pixel art is easier to do technically. I still love how it looks. Um, but typically, indie games have to do with have to make do with usually 2D, some kind of stylized content. Very rarely do I see a lot of like indie games actually go full 3D, and when it is 3D, it's usually just like really low poly or like some kind of like stylized texturing to like hide the really low poly count, which is what you're supposed to do anyways to help with performance, but that's regardless of the point. Because like Deep Rock Galactic, I don't know what they do, but you can see the polygons and everything, but they work with it to make it like an art style, so that's just how the game looks. But it looks really nice. It's 3D, but the poly count's really low. And you can like the jagged edges are there, but with like the lighting and the colors and the textures and stuff, you don't even really notice it. Like it just looks nice. It just looks like a stylized cartoon almost.
I mean, that's what bothered me about Dead Cells when Corey told me. I was like, oh, it's like not actually pixelated. It's 3D models behind a pixel.
Is it?
And then I was like, I thought that was a pretty shitty thing to do.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. That was actually, that brought back to me. I really like Dead Cells. I really like that game, but that's serious. That's how they did that. That's crazy. They made 3D models and put a
3D
pixel filter.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but it's pretty smart how they did it.
I mean, it's like, I don't know anything about like modeling or anything like that, but it's just like that's why there's like so many 3D movies. Granted, like every time a new like 3D animation movie is like made, they need to remake a whole new like film making system for that. But it's just like there's like so many 3D animations over 2D because it's just easier to make 3D models of everything than just hand drawn animations. Things like that.
Once you have a model, you can animate it, and you don't have to draw it 1,000 times. You just use a rig.
Yeah, it was like 2D animation is just always so much more.
It looks nicer and it's timeless. Yeah, because like we'll talk about with the game of the month, but when I was playing that, I was like, oh boy, unlike a lot of stuff, even unlike Halo, which I think Halo weirdly has like aged pretty well. Like the game of the month for this month, I was like, oh boy, those graphics are rough. I'm just looking at my Switch. Granted, I don't have like a lot of indie games on my Switch, but just glancing at it, I have like Vampire Survivors, fucking two Shantae games, two different visual novels, which I know are indie, Tokyo School Life, and My Girlfriend is a Mermaid ? I think I got that because it was like $2, and I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? The Shrouded Isle, that one's really fun. You basically run a Cthulhu cult. That one's super fun. I like that one a lot. Pixelated. A one called Kawaii Dethu Desu. It's just the most weeby shit imaginable, but it's like
familiar.
you've probably seen it.
I think I've seen that.
It's just a really simple game. It's basically just button mash L and R as fast as you can, but it's just a really simple, fun game. And then Death Road to Canada, which I've mentioned before, obviously. And then there's Omega Labyrinth Life. I think that's it. I don't even know, honest to God, I don't even know if Omega Labyrinth Life even counts. Who made this, anyways? I guess I could see.
I mean, one indie game that I really want to play is Sea of Stars, because I saw Corey play it a little bit, and then I did see in that creation group, like that person was like announcing it like as like updates to development.
Yeah.
But I really want to play it, but it's just like I got like 3 other open games that I have yet to finish, and I was like, I can't start a new one because I know that game is going to be long.
I feel like that's a genre I see coming out a lot more in the indie market, actually, is like JRPG. Not clones, but inspired by.
I mean, it's definitely a huge investment considering most of them are super long.
People just want to make their games. They want to tell their
Or like the
stories, their
JRPGs?
characters. Yeah. Well, that's why I said with the fucking I feel like a lot of indie games are coming out now that are inspired by JRPGs, like a lot of them. I just feel like I see it a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, you shared
I mean-
like, you shared that fucking Wild Arms one yesterday, and every time I see you talk about one, it's usually along those lines, something like that, some kind of RPG. If it's not JRPG, something else.
I still got to play Chained Echoes or something like that. And then Sea of Stars. I played something called Cosmic Star Heroine, and that one's kind of like Chrono
I
Trigger.
mean, that one
It's
actually
like-
did look fun.
Yeah,
I know-
and then
I know
there's
you're saying-
another
I know-
one.
I know you're saying heroin as
Yeah.
in like a hero, but every time you say something like that, I'm just like, heroin. It's just drugs.
Drugs.
Yeah.
There's another one that they have. That same studio. It's like an idle game. Like you're playing as like Sailor Scouts in a sense, but
Cosmic
It's-
Star Crack.
it's like a whole other RPG thing. But it looks really fun. Like it, because they also have like Cthulhu Saves Christmas.
That one's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, it's it's pretty interesting how they approach them, but they're pretty good at designing RPGs. All right.
Jordan, do we have a trivia?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Question 1. Which indie game developed by Concerned Ape features farming, mining, fishing, and relationships in the town of Pelican Town? Is it A, Stardew Valley, B, My Time at Portia, C, Harvest Moon, or D, Rune Factory?
Definitely
Stardew
Rune
Valley.
Factory.
Stardew.
I mean, the only farming game that I would think of that's be on this list is Stardew Valley. Unpromptly, we talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Answer is Stardew Valley.
Damn
Hey,
it,
we did
really?
it.
I mean, I thought you were leaving. Did you not know it was Stardew?
I did. We talked about it earlier. I just want to sell this as much as I can.
What do you
Okay.
mean it's not Rune Factory's 5 or 6?
All right, question number 2. In which AAA game do you explore a massive open world and follow the story of a character set in the late 19th century American West? Is it A, Far Cry 5, B, Horizon Zero Dawn, C, Red Dead Redemption 2, or D, Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Definitely C, but I would totally love for whatever the first one you said was to be set in something like that.
I fucking like. I thought you were memeing for a second because I really wanted you to stop at like open world with characters and stuff in it and just stop there because unless you added the last part, that applies to all of them. Like,
Which open world game follows a character that is in a very large area?
Yeah, well, I'm just like, congratulations, you described like 90% of fucking AAA games, which is exactly my point of them being fucking homogenized. The only thing that like setting them apart is just whatever the setting is.
Which
But
one of
yes,
these
it's
games is over $60? All of the
Red
above.
Dead Redemption.
Yep, it was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Howdy. Meowdy.
Okay, question number 3. Which indie game designed and developed by Toby Fox allows players to choose nonviolent routes to solve conflicts and features a character named Sans? Is it A, Undertale, B, Hollow Knight, C, Celeste, or D, Hyper Light Drifter?
Definitely Undertale. We brought that one up too.
Unironically,
It could be Deltarune.
yeah, unironically, I think that just took the prize for easiest fucking question we've asked.
Yeah,
on the
I know.
show
I
so
heard you say
far.
Toby Fox talking about. I was like, oh shit. Well,
They were like Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, like earlier.
Not even that. I think it's like Toby Fox is even still just like up there. But as soon as you said Sans, I'm just like, it's over. But yes, it's Undertale.
Yep, 100%. All
Yeah,
right.
his soundtrack slaps.
It slaps
I am gonna play that eventually, so I'll get to that.
You can get it done in a day.
Speaking of which, Deltarune, I believe, is free. I think
Is
episode
it?
1 and 2. I think episode 1 and 2 is free. Like I have them on my Switch. I didn't have to buy them.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Undertale, and I don't really give two shits about Deltarune. I can't tell you why.
Interesting.
Well, it's just like I understand. It's like I don't even understand what the concept is. He reuses a lot of characters and shit, and I'm just like I don't understand if this is like a continuation. I don't think it is. I think it's supposed to be like some kind of like just alternate take on a different story with him just like reusing characters for shits and giggles essentially. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll sit down and watch Jacksepticeye play it or something like that because I'm not going to.
I mean, I found it funny. It's just like, hey, I made this Undertale. It's like it's like super popular in the Pokemon company. So it's like, hey, make the music for a Pokemon game.
Well, it's funny too. The story behind that. I think he just met the guy who like made Pokemon, or at least made Sword and Shield, and they played Smash Brothers, and Toby Fox kicked his ass. And then at some point, he was like, "Hey, you want to make a song for Sword and Shield?" And so the fun fact, the battle tower, theme, like the music that you hear when you're battling in the battle tower in the post game, that was composed by Toby Fox. Doesn't slap as hard as the gym leader theme, but it's a pretty decent track. But I mean, he already peaked with Megalovania.
That gym leader theme is the
Dude, I've said it before. Fucking Sword and Shield is like peak Pokemon music. There are other tracks that are good, but like I can listen to the fucking gym leader theme on loop. Like I replay the game specifically to hear that track again every time I fight a gym leader. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's very hype. I love it.
It's so great. It captured because they integrated like cheering into it. Yeah, they integrated the whole like the fact it's taking place in like this giant soccer-esque stadium, so they put like cheering and shit in it. It's so good. So thematic. And then they try to do the fucking Temu dollar store version of it in fucking Scarlet and Violet, which sucks.
I don't remember any music from Scarlet and Violet.
I do. I remember the gym leader themes because there was a retarded version of that track, and they tried to make Lightning Strike twice and failed.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll be wrapping it up.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.